Sports Live.
Monk puts it up. And Curry's got the board. Green gets tied up. And a technical has been assessed. Sabonis is down.
Let me say this. Draymond stepped on him, but Sabonis grabbed his leg first. The act itself, we felt over the top and excessive. The conduct, detrimental.
You mean engaging with fans? That's what you mean when you say that conduct?
Exactly. Also, repeat offender. We think in totality, you take all three of those things. If you separate them out individually, maybe not. But if you put them all together, and that's how we came up with suspension.
This is Bettor Sports Live with Lisa Ann and Rick Kamla on Bettor Sports Network.
That's right. Here we are. It is Wednesday night, and you got me and my co-host Rick Kamla right here on Bettor Sports Live for the next 3 hours. I would like to thank TNT and ESPN for that sound. And Rick Kamla, here we are. It's always exciting when we get a juicy tidbit that rocks the airwaves for the entire day for us to talk about. How was your day today on NBA radio, talking just about this?
Oh, it was amazing. We talked about a lot of the other stuff in the playoffs as well, but this has been the predominant story for the last 2 days. LA, it is so good to be back on the air with you here on this beautiful Bettor Sports Network platform and balling tonight. We got NBA games coming up. And so I'm stoked. I'm in a great mood, happy to be here, ready to have a really, really good time. But yeah, I mean, it's Draymond Green. It's the NBA. It is the best soap opera in sports. Is there so you're an MMA person, I believe, right? So the NBA is the best soap opera in sports. Is there any debate about that, LA?
There's really no debate. You're right. There's no debate. The difference would be there's some drama that goes on in the NFL as well. Like whatever sport we're really there was a player in MLB today that got taken out of the game for some sticky stuff on the hand. We'll get to that. I think every sport has the drama, but what the NBA did so differently this time is they let us go to sleep. And then late at night, they released this story. And you woke up in the morning to this reality, thinking to yourself, yes, Day-Day's on West Coast time. He obviously knew about this before it happened. We've all been waiting for his latest podcast to drop. That's been my alert all day, is like, please phone, notify me. And we're going to talk about that. I put a poll out on my social media, and I hope that you're all following the Bettor Network social media at Bettor Network. But the most important thing you need to know, Rick, is I watched every single minute of every single NBA game this weekend.
Every single minute of every single game.
Every single minute of every single game.
I am
so
impressed.
We have a little elevator catastrophe going on in my building. So we're down to 1. We normally have 5. So it could be like an hour wait. So I just decided that it happened for me at the perfect time. I'll skate out super early in the morning before it gets busy down there, and I'll get my bike ride in, hit the gym, and then I'll just stay in my paradise. When I want fresh air, I'll go out on my patio. But hell no to waiting an hour for an elevator and being in the one elevator that I feel like now I'm superstitious is getting too much work. The situation has been resolved. We now have 2. We will have all of them back when I get back from my trip this weekend. But it was the perfect, this is perfect. I'm so glad this happened because this will make me just focus on these games. And it was just so enjoyable to sink my teeth in. I've got caught up on any games that I missed that were late night. During the week, I can't stay up super, super late and watch those games and get up in the morning. So it was just great. Really enjoyed the games. I really enjoyed game 1 that the Knicks put together. It gave me a lot of hope. I was texting with my friends. Hey, we're going to get, second round playoff tickets. And of course they're like, let's wait it out. Let's see how they play game 2. And then game 2 comes and, the Knicks do what the Knicks do. But details, we'll get to. But first, before these games tip off, we've got a 7:30 game. Los Angeles Lakers in Memphis taking on the Grizz, and Ja Morant was just ruled out. So that's a big news note for anybody who set a DFS lineup in the challenge that I put out. I was smart and didn't play on Giannis or Ja Morant because, we're preparing for the show. We can't do that. We've got Miami and Milwaukee at 9, and we've got Minnesota at Denver at 10. Let's talk about your props, the early ones, so our listeners can get this in, the 7:30 tip-off. You've got LeBron James, who, by the way, we now know can see into the future because he's telling us after the first game that he knew who was going to be the star in the playoffs. I know you know what I'm talking about there with Reeves. LeBron James at Memphis right? Like everyone thought that was funny. Like, have you acknowledged him yet this year? Is he on the gram with you? Have you been putting him in your story? I've been checking your Snapchat, your TikTok. Well, where's this kid before tonight? I love LeBron. Just like, yeah, we knew this is how it's going to go.
Austin Reeves has been a total revelation for this team and had a really good, what's the adjective I want to use?
Fantastic.
Productive game one. 23, very efficient. Hitting the threes, the takeover moment late, right? I think he went on a personal 7-0 run and was saying, I'm him. So, wow, we are all in Austin Reeves' world right now, just orbiting him. He is going to shoot up between $15 and $20 million a year, I think, LA. And the Lakers can bring him back, but then it's like Jeannie Buss being like, yo, luxury tax is 20 million, actually 27 after you accumulate the tax and all that. They can't let him go. You lost Malik Monk because you couldn't afford him. You lost Alex Caruso because you couldn't afford him. You can't let another young stud go out the door. So they got to keep him. But LA, with the Ja Morant news, the line has shifted here from even when I still loved LA to now it's -1.5. And I did not think Ja Morant was going to play. Woj had a report yesterday saying that there's not a lot of optimism in the Grizzlies that he's going to play. When it's a Woj bomb like that, that means the Grizzlies are telling him, yo, it doesn't look good. Okay, so we go, and you know this, LA. So I've been planning all along for Ja Morant not to play tonight. And so I like the Lakers. With Ja, I would pick them to tie up the series, win tonight's game, but I like the Lakers tonight -1.5. Little bonus ATSer for you there.
Okay, well, let's go into your props. And, it's great to see Reeves marketing himself because we all know the world suffers from a bit of recency bias. And if you're looking at putting millions of bags on your ticket, right? You're looking at like, hey, I'm that guy. It reminded me of when Kirk Cousins got in the camera after that big game. You remember that?
Of course. He said, you like that? You like that?
And this was like, I'm that guy. But man, he was sinking threes, and I was glad to be a part of the magic. Like after I watched the first day of games, I'm like, what's another day of just the standalone action? Like last night isn't as fun when you got to go back and forth. I really enjoyed those games being stacked nicely through the entire day and evening.
Yeah, I do as well. And I thought it was really clutch, LA, that the Laker and Memphis game, which was the first game on Sunday, started at 3. So what me and my fam do, the lovely Charity, our beautiful daughter, Lilicoy, we get out and about down here in Paradise, a.k.a. Florida, on Sundays, all right? And I DVR the games and come home and watch them. I don't miss a minute. I just do it on my time. I forgot to DVR the games, LA, when we left. And so I thought that there was a 1 o'clock game, okay? Because there was on Saturday, and I thought, and I was like, oh, man, I forgot. And I looked at the schedule. I'm like, yes, Lakers and Grizzlies at 3 o'clock Eastern time. We got home, didn't even like rush or like alter our plans at all. Got home at like 3:08. I missed like 2 minutes of the game, and it was absolutely perfect.
Well, you'll not forget to DVR now moving forward. You needed that little, sometimes when something goes wrong, you'll always remember it from that point forward. It's like losing directions or losing your keys. Like you ask yourself, do I have my keys after you lose them the first time? So this is going to be good for you for the rest of the playoffs and for the rest of your DVR history. But let's talk about your props for tonight. Ricky's props right here coming at you all. Thank you all. Albert in the room, Scott, Better Boss, Mike. Yep, everybody great in here. Okay, you got LeBron James at Memphis over 26.5 points. The number is -120.
This will not be a Rui Hachimura game. This will not be an Austin Reeves game. Those guys had their games, okay? Maybe again in this series of the playoffs, but not tonight. Just the way it goes, the law of averages, the way these playoff series ebb and flow. Role players like that on the road are not going to have back-to-back games like that, okay? So who's going to produce for the Lakers tonight? Their main guys, LeBron James and Anthony Davis. They were really good in game one, but they weren't the guys. Tonight, they're going to be the guys. LeBron will take center stage, dominate this team without Ja Morant. He's going to go in for the kill. You know this about LeBron James. He ain't letting up or, oh, they don't have Ja, we're going to take our foot off the gas. No, he's going to put his foot on their throat, okay? I see like a 31-point, 9 rebound, 6 assist type of game. Game one, lots of goodies, 21, 11, and 5, 3 blocks, 2 steals. And he's going to get the walk-off interview after this game, LA. So, and I think 26.5 is a very manageable number for us here. I just look at this as a spike game from LeBron James tonight at Memphis as the Lakers take a 2-0 lead.
I like it. I'd like to say what I don't like is that Hachimura doesn't have social media. I've been scouring the internet, not able to find a thing. So the kid's not on social media. Obviously, I wanted to reach out, send him a DM, tell him he had a great game. It's what I do. It's always a bummer when I'm searching for a player during a game and I'm not able to have that impact. Okay, you got another LeBron James here right now. You're going for the combo over 35.5. That's combo of points and rebounds. The number is -115.
Let's get creative here. We're not going assists. We're not going with the 3-pack combo. All right. And I'll explain why. But on this number right here, 35.5, 26-10 gets us home. 27-9 gets us home. 28-8 gets us home. Okay. And to me, that's the floor for LeBron James tonight. I think he's going to do more than that. To me, that's the floor. The Lakers still need rebounding from LeBron. He's their power forward right now. Jaren Jackson Jr. is historically not a great rebounder. He's kind of a perimeter guy, 5, 6, 7 rebounds a game. He ain't going to get in the way of these guys. The Grizzlies don't have Steven Adams or Brandon Clark, and so it's game on there. The Lakers outglassed the Grizzlies by 11 in game 1. And then the other thing on this about get creative, LA, LeBron isn't on the ball as much as he has been. You've got D'Angelo Russell, you've got Dennis Schroeder. He's in obviously he's still a point forward, but he's in more of a hybrid as opposed to just pure point forward. He's kind of doing some big man stuff right now, blocking shots, getting the rebounds. And so I don't think that's going to change with D'Lo and Schroeder playing tonight. So I like that one as well.
I like that one as well, too. And I got to say, we didn't touch on this. So we have another one here for this early game. It's always a bummer when we see injuries like this, when we see there was a moment where we thought Anthony Davis was going to be injured. Luckily, he came back out of the locker room. But I will tell you that 10 minutes on Twitter was a live wire of people just writing him off and people saying horrible things. And then he comes back out, plays. He played really well when he came back out. So there was that. But then Ja Morant, Giannis, like, this isn't what we want to see. We want these games to be close and fair. We want all the best players on the court. There's nothing more frustrating than watching an injury at this point in the season, because you just see it just deflates the entire team, and especially somebody as electric as Ja Morant or even Giannis. We've got Mike in the room that feels like AD going to drop maybe 30 or 40 tonight. Let's go to Jimmy Butler. Oh, no, let's go to Jaren Jackson Jr. versus the Lakers. Over 22.5 points, -110 is the number.
This is all about Ja Morant being ruled out. We would not be on this if Ja was playing tonight. And the number wouldn't be as big either. So the Batman role, LA, has suited Jaren Jackson Jr. very, very well in recent games. Check this out. In 2 late season games, important games against the Pelicans and the Bucks, JJJ gave them 40 and 36 as the one. Okay. He had 31 in game 1 as a de facto one because the Lakers were really crowding Ja Morant and trying to nullify his ability. And so Jaren Jackson Jr. had to step up. He said, I got this, man. The Lakers allowed the 12th most points to power forwards. They're not great defensively against this position, in fact, below average. And he got his season averages against the Lakers. And so that lets me know there's no kind of like voodoo matchup thing the Lakers have against JJJ. He's not going to get his numbers tonight. He's going to have to soar without Ja. And I think he's going to be between 25 and 30 points. And so I think he's going to go over this number, and I feel good about it.
Before we get to the number, I got a little breaking news right here from our producer, Heavy T on air. Mike Brown just won Coach of the Year for the NBA.
Mike Brown, LA, this was the worst kept secret in the history of the world. We have known that Mike Brown was going to be the Coach of the Year about midseason, and a lot of people were not on it earlier than me, but I'm like, yo, Joe Mazzulla. Remember when Boston had the #1 record in the entire NBA, right? And it's Joe Mazzulla taking over for Ime Udoka. I'm like, we got to look at that guy right now. But then Boston came down a little bit. Sac took their game to another level post All-Star. Mike Brown, I worked with him at NBA TV. He's an awesome guy. So I'm super happy for his success right now. In LA, I picked Sacramento to beat GSW in 7 pre-series. And obviously no Draymond in game 3. So I'm on Sac. I am definitely on Sac. No doubt about it.
You've been on sack early in the season, and congratulations to Mike Brown. But look, teams starting out a series 0-2 have a 90-some% chance of losing the series. And that's before we had injuries. That's before we had a suspension for Draymond Green. The Warriors were being taken down by sack, and now this just gives another narrative, and it's a narrative that we're going to get to. We've got some guests coming up that are going to talk with us about it, but before we do that, let's finish Ricky's props right here. Jimmy Butler at Milwaukee, under 28.5 points. The number is -135. So obviously, if you feel maybe Jimmy Butler did not have that extra coffee that he makes so well and sells so well.
I like it. Nice job there. So this is LA, a point spread take that has led to a prop bet take. Okay. I think Milwaukee is going to beat the Heat tonight, and it's not going to be close. Giannis is still questionable, but they upgraded him on the day of the game. He's Giannis. He's a tough guy. They lost game 1 at home, blah, blah, blah. He's playing tonight, okay? He is playing tonight. I will be stupefied and dumbfounded, shocked if he does not play. He's playing tonight, okay? So I think Brook Lopez is going to play better. Drew Holiday is going to play better. They both had games. Giannis is going to come back and roar like a tiger, okay? Again, they can't go down 0-2 and then go back to Miami, okay? Now you welcome trouble through your door. If you win tonight, you're fine. Go to Miami, you win one. It's going to go a little longer than you wanted, but it's okay. And so I think the Bucks are going to smash the Heat tonight. So this isn't like, oh, I don't like Jimmy Butler or whatever. His numbers are very, very high. We'll start with the points here at 28.5. It's a huge number for Jimmy. I don't believe I've seen a point prop that high for him all year. I get it. No Tyler Hero, but LA, it's maybe more shots, but they're not going to be better shots. He's going to be crowded even more without Tyler Hero. And so Milwaukee, but it's just going to be a buzzsaw. Like even if Jimmy's kind of rolling tonight, I really don't see him playing in the fourth quarter of this game. Kind of like Julius Randle at Cleveland last night. And I went under on him and hit as well.
All right, I like it. The last one here for Ricky's props, Jimmy Butler at Milwaukee, under 40.5 combo, which is the points, rebounds, and assist. The number is -120.
So he's been the man the last 2 games. There's one more angle here. Tonight, the Bucks are going to take that back. Okay, cool. You beat Chicago in a PIT game and you were the man. Okay, cool. You went to Milwaukee and you won game 1. You played college ball at Marquette. It's a homecoming of sorts for you. Cool. Have your moment. Now it's our moment. Okay. So just another like log on the fire right there. But this is just sort of capitalizing on a take. Like I really like Milwaukee over Miami tonight. So let's go under on Jimmy. And then let's look at 40.5. 40.5 is an elite PRA number, okay? And he's going to need to play full minutes at full production to get there, and I don't think that's going to happen.
I like it. We've got the props in. They're going across the ticker. You can also find them on social media. We're going to get a guest coming in at 7:30, and for that guest, we're going to shift gears a little bit and talk some NFL draft, which is 1 week from tomorrow. Super stoked about that. So that would be a really good time to give a little bit of an update on how the poll is looking. Rick, the question that I posed to my followers, what are the many topics of conversations tonight on Bettor Sports Live at the Bettor Network requires a poll. Do you agree with the @Money23Green, that's Draymond's Twitter, suspension? We've got 211 votes. 64.5% say yes. 35.5% say no. What's your take? And I'll give you mine because I can understand quite a few sides here. Some numbers on Draymond's history, which is part of the side, right?
Of course,
Draymond's had 154 technicals. He's had 19 flagrants and 15 ejections. So that kind of, by the way, Giannis is ruled out for game 2.
Shut up.
Nope. Heavy T on air per Shams Sharani. Let me go and find Shams right now on Twitter. Check that out. I love Shams. You know that. Right here. Let's see. Oh, yeah, hopefully he gets it first. Okay. Yep. Buckstar Giannis will not play in game 2. Okay. We'll do the job around. Why not? I'm going to just retweet all of his stuff right now. 3 in a row from Shams. Okay. So I'm giving you the numbers right there. But I do understand that both ways, right? Okay, this was a dirty play. They both got a tech. I think really it was the potential to incite the crowd.
Yes.
Seems to be kind of the defining factor. And look, we are trying to get people not to fight at games. I know you're not on social media as much as I am, Rick, but I will tell you what, every day there's 30 or 40 videos from baseball games. I just never want to go to a baseball game unless I'm in a really private section of people fighting to the point where they're pushing them over other people and over families. And then other people jump and people just video it. I don't know what makes me watch it, but I watch it. And we saw them all NFL season. We do see some at NBA games. And I think the fear is inciting a crowd, especially in an away arena. So there's a lot of variables here. That was not the right and professional way to handle it. I understand tempers are flaring, but there were 2 texts given out. Okay, fine. We're good there. But I think it was really more. And this was something that Woj dropped today. He visited Greeny. He was on a bunch of shows talking about it, but really the potential intent to incite a crowd.
Huge factor here. Joe Dumars talked about that, the ruling arm now of the NBA. LA, let me take you through my thought process on this. When I hit the air yesterday with Antonio, Draymond had not been suspended yet, but we knew, it was the hot debate. Everybody was debating it, so we jumped right in. And I told him this is not a suspendable thing. Okay? And I, in a vacuum of what he did, stomping on Sabonis and then pushing off on him on his way back up the court. It's a flagrant foul 2 and an ejection. It's unnecessary and excessive, and those are the 2 trigger words for the NBA. And so he missed the final 7 minutes of the game. A 3-point game when he left, right? And so that final 7 minutes, we have to consider that. That is a major penalty here. They lost the game, and they might not have if he was able to finish the game. So Antonio, the wise owl, he gets me right when I need to get right. He brought up Grayson Allen. And he said, Cam, we can't just ignore the history here and look at it in a vacuum. And I said, good point. Take me further. He said, your guy, Grayson Allen, I do not like Grayson Allen. He said, your guy, Grayson Allen, if we were talking about him right now, what would you be saying? And I said, he should be suspended. And I was thinking in my brain, kick him out of the league. Just it's a joke. Ha ha. But he'd get a game. And so then I said, it was an aha moment. I'm like, all right, well, if I'm saying Grayson based on his history is going to get a game, then damn it, Draymond based on his history has got to get a game here. So that was the thought process and how it kind of changed for me. But like you said, the antics after were an issue for the NBA. The fact that he injured Domantas Sabonis, who is questionable with a sternum contusion for tomorrow night's game.
I don't believe that one bit. I don't believe it one bit. I don't believe it one bit. And you know what? I've spent the day like I always do, but mainly on Wednesdays. I start it early. I don't even listen to music at the gym. I'm sports radio from 6 o'clock in the morning until 5:30 when I do my last bit of stuff for the show, right? And listening to callers call in was interesting because a lot of guys called in talking about when they played sports. One guy called a show and he's like, look, I played hockey and that was a big thing. Somebody would grab your ankle. And he's like, I got to tell you, when somebody grabs your ankle, your first response is to try to jump out of it. And sometimes when you're pulling your ankle to jump out of it, well, how do you jump if one ankle is being held? You push down on the other ankle, right? You push down with that foot to get out of that situation. So I do understand that 2 wrongs don't make a right, but Draymond could have gotten injured there as well. He could have had an ankle turn there as well. I don't believe he stomped on him that hard. And I mean, I think an NBA player takes a rougher hit under the basket trying to block a shot than what he got. And I think this is all where it becomes just total semantics for me. Theater of the mind, theater and reality. But I'm like, I don't really like them setting him for an X-ray was lame, if you ask me, but I get it. This is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to go about this. Cause we want to we flop when we're live on television. And now when we're not on television, we got to go through a series of tests to keep the violin going.
You know what it is? It's you got in a car accident and you're the plaintiff and whoever else is the defendant. And you go to the courtroom with a neck brace on.
Of course. Right?
That after a rear ender where you have a problem haggling over the insurance, that is what the tests were on Sabonis here. And so I'm piggybacking what you're saying here. I agree. Do I think he's feeling the best he's ever felt with his sternum after getting stomped on by Draymond? No. But do I think he's actually questionable tomorrow? No. I think it was for the NBA. Here's one more little data point for you to consider to suspend Draymond Green. Our guy had tests. He's questionable for the next game. What?
I'll say this, okay? And Byron is in the room. Sabonis instigated it. If he doesn't grab his leg, the incident doesn't happen. I'm right there. But if we were dealing with a player, let's say this was Steph Curry as opposed to Draymond Green, we wouldn't be talking about this 2 days after the game.
No.
There would have
no
been
way.
2 texts. We would have been done with it. But this brings me back to high school when I would get kind of in little snagus skipping school, and my principal would have to sit down with me and he would say to me, I'm going by your history of skipping school, and that's what's making it seem like you were skipping school. So I know how Draymond's in this spot right now. We get labeled because of the actions that we take, and he has taken some actions. I mean, a guy that has 154 technicals, 19 flagrants, and 15 ejections. Look, I always made sure I went to class the exact amount of days you had to before they would fail you, and I had a strategy. Draymond has a strategy as well. He's been very successful, but our past does affect our future.
And your present. And Draymond's present will include not being in the arena tomorrow night. When you're suspended, you can't even be on the premises. So he'll be somewhere in the Bay Area at home, I presume. Maybe on Klay Thompson's boat with Rocco.
No, he will not. He will be making the most lit podcast. What I want him to do, Draymond, if you're listening, I need you to go on Twitch tomorrow night. I need you to watch this game with us. I need you to give us your play-by-play. I want to hear it all. I don't know if that's a legal thing, if NBA players can do that, but I'm pretty certain the next podcast is going to be super lit. So, you know, I would love to watch him Twitch the game, you know, stream it on Twitch, and we could all react with him. Like, he could come on BSN, but yeah, he can't be anywhere near there tomorrow night.
Why wouldn't Turner Sports just set up a 2-way from his living room tomorrow night?
Because he's suspended, dude. He's not allowed to participate in NBA activities.
Is it NBA activities, period, or is it you can't be in the premises? I mean, he's on the Turner Sports payroll.
Mike says, I love Green, but I don't see him playing too much longer. His pod will go crazy when he retires. He already started a whole network. Like, he's already killing it. But you know what? I do see him playing a bit longer. I love what he does out there. He's not the buckets dropper, but he is definitely what makes that team so cohesive. But I think, you know, we've seen, like, we had the incident before the season started. There's been a lot. So here we are. It was shocking to wake up to. I really thought the situation was over. But what I really look forward to the most is the drama that will continue when we get to see Green and Sabonis on the court together.
Well, that will happen in Game 4, and they will be banging into each other once again. Hey, speaking of that, are you going to Madison Square Garden? This is something that I was wondering. Are you going to the Garden for Game 3 or Game 4 coming up here, Knicks and Cavs?
I will be in Chicago, but if the Knicks do me a solid and stay in the series, I will go to round 2, and I will go to every home game. I'm putting this out there. But no, I can't make any of this one because I'll be in Chicago. I leave tomorrow morning. Back here Monday morning. We're going to get to a quick break. Before we do, I want to remind you, attention, all of you right here that we appreciate so much, Bettor fans. You can have the Bettor Sports Network newsletter emailed to you every day. The only place to get our daily Bettor Bet, plus exclusive offers, program alerts, special events, and our top moments. Register for free right now at bettorsports.com. When we get back, we are going to be catching up. A little NBA break, a little palate cleansing from the NBA. We're going to talk NFL draft, which is 1 week for tomorrow, with a college football analyst and NFL draft analyst for fantasy pros and betting pros. That is Thor Nystrom coming up with us at the bottom of the hour. You all stay in the room here. We'll begin your chats after our break. And if you have any NFL draft questions that you would like us to ask our guests, feel free to drop them in there. You're listening to Lisa Ann and Rick Kamla on Bettor Sports Live on the Bettor Sports Network.
Monday Night Rants with Edward Rouse on Bettor Sports Network.
One player in minor league baseball is crushing. He has 7 home runs already, 9 games, 6 in a row, 15 RBIs, crushing almost every category in AAA baseball right now. Now, we've seen this before with Mr. Joe Adell. That's right, Joe Adell, for Heavy T's, Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. Joe Adell, defensive liability. I'm going to say that right now. Now, there's a lot of fantasy dynasty believers in him. I'll give you that. He is putting up numbers in the AAA level right now. But my goodness, is he going to be able to get at bats every day? I know there's the DH, but you also have Ohtani. Is there a world where we see Adele for the Angels be called up? Probably, but come on. But do I believe it or not in Joe Adele? Listen, he does have the offensive pedigree for your fantasy teams. High prospect. He once was a high prospect, very valued. He could easily come up and put up some numbers for your fantasy teams. Just where are they going to play him defensively? That's the only issue with him. So kudos to him for what he's doing. But ultimately, you got to think his time may be limited there in Anaheim. And I know that Heavy T's not a fan.
I can't stand Joe Adele, the biggest defensive liability. But you also kind of hit the hammer on the head there as well. He can't DH because Ohtani's a DH. So what do you do? So he's performing this well in AAA. You can only do one thing. The Angels need a lot of bullpen help. Trade him while his value is high. Give me someone like Daniel Bard, maybe an Aroldis Chapman, David Bednar out in Pittsburgh. Give me somebody, a couple pieces to fix his bullpen and get this man out of the farm system. I cannot stand Joe Adele. Dude cannot catch a ball to save his life. He can't react to a ball. He's throwing balls to the Astros dugout from the outfield instead of home plate. Get this dude off my team. Cannot stand him. Don't want him. It's kind of like the Mike Singletary speech. I want winners. This guy's not a winner. Get him the hell off my team. Don't want him. Get him out of here.
Welcome to Monday Night Reds with Heavy T.
I can't with this dude. I just can't. Every time I see him in an Angels uniform and he's playing the outfield, I lose about 3 hours of my life. It's just gone, and I'm never getting it back. And
well, good news. Only 2.5 hours this year.
That does not make me feel any better. That makes me feel worse.
Okay.
Oh my God, Joe Adele, go away.
However you're invested in sports, from betting to fantasy, collectibles, and more, join our community on Bettor Sports Network.
And we are back right here, Lisa Ann and Rick Kamla, joined by Thor Nystrom, an NFL draft and college football analyst for Fantasy Pros and Betting Pros. You can follow at ThorKU. Thor, thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Good to be here.
How excited are you? I see all of the helmets behind you, and I absolutely love the collection. So the NFL draft, 1 week away. What are your biggest surprises that we should be planning for in the first round?
It starts out with CJ Stroud, a guy who, 10 days ago was minus 350 to be the first overall pick in the draft. And now it looks like he might not even be the second pick in the draft. And then the roller coaster starts. We know Arizona's not going to take quarterback at 3. Could they make a trade down? Or are they going to prioritize one of those blue chip defenders that's on the board, Will Anderson or a guy like that? And then if he doesn't go there, we've heard that Indianapolis and their owner, Jim Irsay, likes Will Levis. Would they take Will Levis over CJ Stroud? So that's the first one. And CJ Stroud, he's sort of like the butterfly effect type presence in this draft, because depending on what happens with him and all the slots that change from the mock drafts that have been submitted, every other pick after that, every slot, it changes. So like we could be in uncharted territory. CJ Stroud starts to drop down the board a little bit.
Thor, why wouldn't the Houston Texans take CJ Stroud if, it was the Bryce Young and CJ Stroud tango there at the top? Carolina, obviously, we've had some reporting this week that indicates, I think with relative clarity, that they're going to take Bryce Young number 1. That would be the way I went as well. So I was kind of happy to see that. But why wouldn't CJ Stroud be the automatic pick for the Houston Texans? If I were calling the shots for Houston, that would be the way I went.
You answered your question with the 2 words that you put in there. They're the Houston Texans. That's why the Houston
Good
Texans.
Call, Thor. Good call.
They consistently make poor decisions, whatever. And yeah, they get attracted to weird players and stuff like that. And Caserio is still the guy running the show. I know they have a new coaching staff, but it's the same guys making the call. They could get weird on draft night.
Good call, man.
Hey, they got weird at the end of the season and decided now we're going to win one and just really throw things off. Like, what was the point of that? But anyway, this is the first draft. Maybe this has happened before, but this is the first draft that I can remember that we're down -1 pick in the first round due to Miami and their collusion whatever it may be, as the dust just settled and we never heard more about it. How different will this make the first round seem and feel? And what player do you think has the best chance to slip to round 2? And we watch that emotional breakdown on camera. So, it's an emotional thing, watching the draft, each pick. How did it affect somebody? How do they feel about it? Who won this pick? All of that. One less pick in round 1. How different it's going to feel this year?
Yeah, it sure is. To your latter point, it's like the world's best reality show is the way that I look at the draft. I just love the drama of it. And as far as the Dolphins pick, it's just annoying and all the, when you slot it and then you have to put the forfeited pick thing in there, and then you have the 31 picks at the beginning of the process when we were doing all these mock drafts. We were actually counting the Dolphins slot as their slot or whatever. And so it would screw up all the different picks after that, stuff like that. And then as far as the player who has the best shot of falling through, interestingly enough, it's a player that the NFL seems to have wanted to avoid the Aaron Rodgers treatment in the green room, Quentin Johnston. Quentin Johnston vocally wanted to be at the draft. He talked about it all spring, how this was a dream, how this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, how he had already bought his suit for that night and picked out his cologne, and then the NFL did not invite him to the event. That is a clear indication that Quentin Johnston not valued maybe as high as he is on my board and several other boards, and that he could fall into day 2. If he does, he ain't going to last long there. But I think his range of outcomes now, it's either late first round or very early second.
Thor, right now I have Quentin Johnston going 11th overall to Tennessee. Okay. Am I nuts? I don't believe I'm nuts. I have Quentin Johnston as the second best wide receiver prospect in this draft. Obviously, and Lisa Ann knows, some of our audience may not. The Titans probably are the worst wide receiver room in the league right now with Odell Beckham going to Baltimore. They got to go wide receiver. And again, they could make a dumbass move like you just talked about with the Texans, but I don't see cool. If you want to sell me on Jalen Hyatt or Josh Downs or Zay Flowers or any of these hot shots, okay, I'm cool with it. But if Tennessee does not take a wide receiver at number 11, I'm going to freak out. So why not Quentin Johnston to Tennessee at number 11?
Yeah, I definitely get the line of thought that led you to that. Tennessee has a couple other big-time holes, though, right? Like offensive tackle is the one that I think they're going to pop in round 1, just because that offensive tackle class falls off a shelf after like the 6th one or 7th one. It's decent at the top for sure, but like after, like you get to like the Syracuse kid Bergeron, and he might even be a guard. But once you get past that, some people would even argue DeJuan Jones. Once he gets past him, then it falls off a shelf for the BYU kid Freeland. But one way or another, at some point in round 2, the tier, you take the last kid in the tier, and then the whole thing jumps off a shelf. So Tennessee could prioritize that position just because they could be one of the first teams to take an offensive lineman. Chicago is probably the favorite to take the first offensive lineman at 9. But if Chicago doesn't, there's even a shot that Tennessee could lead the dance on that. But once you get to the 2nd round, who knows, as far as that goes. But I love Quentin Johnston. Quentin Johnston's actually my number 1 receiver on my board. It's just, the NFL not inviting him, that has to raise the red flags or whatever as far as his viability for going top half of the first round.
Yeah, it is kind of a red flag. We're talking to Thor Nystrom right now. Give him a follow at Thor KU. So Thor, before you came on, I asked the group over here in the chat, we get to get this live commentary, which is always so fun. I'm going to veer from the NFL draft and talk about something related to the NFL. We got word today that the 49ers are taking calls on Trey Lance. And what rung the bell, I saw that message from Byron, but then also Rick had mentioned the Titans, and that seems to be the connection. What do you know about Trey Lance possibly being on the shopping block?
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise you at all, right? Because of the emergence of Brock Purdy, and then they signed Sam Darnold earlier. And also, there was the report earlier about a month ago or so that the 49ers were sort of talking with the Vikings or whispering with the Vikings, hoping it wasn't going to get reported conversation with the Vikings at the NFL Combine about Kirk Cousins. You've also heard that the Vikings are doing more work on this quarterback class than anybody else. And returning to the beginning of our conversation, sort of the biggest wild card at the top of the board in CJ Stroud. Let's just say this scenario happens where CJ Stroud does start to fall just a little bit. Even if he just gets down to 6, which just requires the Colts take, let's say Levis over him, and then Seattle presumably, taking a defender or whatever. Now he's at 6. I have heard that Detroit is looking to parlay some of their enormous amount of draft equity in this class into the next class. whether that's just one-off trades of picks on day 3, or whether that's even trading down in the first round in an effort to pick up a first-round pick next year. The Vikings are a team lingering back there at 23, seems to want to jump up. Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah has only been on the job for 1 year. He has already worked out 2 blockbuster trades with Detroit, same administration that's there. Last year was his first big trade in the draft when he traded down to the end of the first round. And then, of course, the TJ Hawkinson trade as well. I've also heard, those trades just indicate this, but also heard that Brad Holmes doesn't care at all about trading within the division. Like, there's just no compunction. There's just not a thing for him. So if the Vikings came calling for that 6th pick, if CJ Stroud was on the board, you wonder if that would go on. If the Vikings take a guy like CJ Stroud, who needs to start immediately, can start immediately, and should be starting immediately, would they then turn around and trade Kirk Cousins potentially to the 49ers? Those are some of those different things that are out there, but all that, it leads to the same sort of through point, which is Trey Lance. I don't know how long he is for San Francisco.
Thor, I am not a Will Levis guy. I'll just start this little entry this way. I'm a big college football guy, Thor. Watch all the games, and I'm a big talent evaluator, man. And I'm telling you, I was saying this last year when Mel Kiper had him, I think number 1 overall, all this garbage. I'm like, this guy is so freaking overrated. And now I'm seeing, the hyperbole, right? He's the most overrated draft prospect, blah, blah, blah. I've been saying that since last September, okay? Hit me up on Twitter at Rick Kamla Sports. But Thor, like, dude, every time you mention, Indy, maybe take a look, I shudder. Like, oh my God, somebody's about to ruin their franchise with this guy. That's how down on Will Levis I am. Would you like to continue this reigning parade on Will Levis?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm not a Will Levis guy either. He is, for me, he's a tier below the quarterback 3 in this class, Anthony Richardson. I definitely see the arm talent that everybody else does. Like, even when Levis sometimes didn't have his feet set or his shoulder square to the target, he could drop these dimes downfield. But the problem, it goes back to that. He's super nonchalant with his mechanics. He knows what to do. It's just when the bullets are flying, whatnot in the pocket, and he thinks he sees a throw, he don't even think about it. He just flicks it. I sort of compare it to like a super talented Uncle Rico. How Uncle Rico threw it in Napoleon Dynamite.
Nice.
That's like Levis. It's just that the ball shoots out of his hands like a jugs machine or whatever. But that sort of taught him, I don't need to step my feet. I don't need to square to the target because I can just do that, whatever. And there's this school of thought of like, just fix his mechanics and his accuracy will improve. And that's an idea that's supported by the fact that when you see his mechanics, when they're on, his accuracy does tick up. The problem with that, and where that becomes a bridge too far for me, is Will Levis has no pocket presence. He does not sense the pressure whatsoever, coming from the blind side for sure. He got crash test dummied in the pocket a whole bunch of times in college. But the other thing is when he finally denotes it, or when he denotes it, when the enemy is at the gate, he makes wonky decisions. He'll make wonky decision with the ball. He'll throw it into the chest plate of a defender. He'll fumble the ball, different stuff like that. He doesn't make those correct decisions in the moment, but that goes back to the whole mechanics thing. If when the bullets are flying, you just start to, you throw up your hands and go into YOLO ball, how are you ever going to fix the mechanics consistently?
Because that's Jameis Winston you're talking about, the YOLO ball. I mean, that's why Jameis Winston's a journeyman coming off benches right now.
I'll tell you what, Thor, you have completely won me over. You brought up Napoleon Dynamite and you used the YOLO. I mean, all of these goodies, as Rick would say, Kamla always says goodies. What are the goodies? These are goodies. So you talk about pocket presence. That's one of the repeat things I keep hearing about Bryce Young. I understand size is what everybody is really hung up on. But when you talk about being aware, his awareness is unbelievable. His skill set. Can Bryce Young succeed in the NFL at 5'10"?
1000%. That's very well put, Lisa. That's exactly what it is. He's like a dude that's been in the cockpit for over 10,000 hours. He's seen everything and he's already gone through the process of it. That's why, I consider CJ Stroud the best facilitator in this class because of his accuracy and his placement. Bryce Young is definitely the best creator. Like a system like Josh Heupel runs at Tennessee, where he cleaves the field in half for Hendon Hooker, and Hendon Hooker can immediately square to the side of the field that he's ultimately going to throw to, getting answers before the play has even come based on the numbers of the defense. Bryce Young would hate working in that system. He likes to set up deeper in the shotgun, get the wider field vision, and then he likes to have more runway to scramble around. And the reason he does that is to buy extra time for his receiver, because the second he sees it, the ball's getting out of there, and it's getting out of there slapdash quick. and on the hands. I love the way that kid sees the field. You just don't see guys that come into the league every year that are able to process that quickly and then act on that information.
Yeah, everyone that was around him in college says the same thing about just the way his mind works. And he's built that because he knows he doesn't have the same size as other players, which is a competitive advantage. Looking at it like, hey, I can't change this, but if I can be better at this. So could you tell me where you think the perfect home where Bryce Young can succeed as my second question?
It better be Carolina because that's where he's going. That thing is definitely locked in. And I think at least what Carolina has done is sort of fortify their wide receiver room this offseason, fortify the running back room with Miles Sanders, whatnot. They're setting up all the pieces to hopefully allow Bryce Young to start out quickly and whatnot. The thing you don't want with a quarterback like that is just having enemies crash the gate immediately or receivers that can't make plays on those balls when they hit their hand, whatnot. And so Carolina is setting up the infrastructure to allow him to succeed. And I hope he does.
Thor, let's talk about the New York Giants, okay? I do a mock draft, most of us do, and I have a bunch of cornerbacks going. I think cornerback is the number one need for the Giants. The problem is when they go at 26, Cam Smith off the board, Deonte Banks off the board, Keely Ringo off the board on my mock. And so I don't try to anticipate what other teams are going to do. I put myself in that position, and then I make the pick based on what is left. And I've got them taking Miles Murphy, the edge out of Clemson, who began the mock draft cycle very high, and he's dipped now towards the back end of the first round here. I do think the Giants need another edge, but not as much as they do a corner. So help me out. Who are you mocking to the New York Giants at 26?
I've been mocking receivers for them. You know, it's funny when like right when he started the pre-draft process, it's one of the only times I've ever seen a prop where it's about even money for a team to take a position. I forgot which sports book it was, but they dropped what position will the Giants take in the first round. And the wide receiver position was even with the, you know, like with the juice, you know, minus 110 or 115, whatever for the prop against every other position combined. So like, you know, and outside receiver specifically. So that's been one that I've been giving to the Giants quite a bit in my mock drafts. But like, yeah, I mean, cornerback definitely is right up there. You could say secondary overall because they need a safety too. The other one, I guess that would be the dark horse for me is the Giants leading the dance on the interior offensive lineman. They definitely need a center. They could probably use a guard too, but it wouldn't stun me if they went with either John Michael Schmitz or Joe Tippmann, maybe, you know, like in a true surprise, something like that. If the options on the perimeter, both on offense and defense that they like are off the board in advance.
It's funny you say that. I had John Michael Schmitz going to New York, and you know, we tweak our mock drafts and we adjust them. And I'm like, you know, looking where you know he's basically targeted as like a mid-second round guy, right? Maybe high second round on some boards, but he's probably the top center in this draft. Osiris Torrance is the top interior offensive lineman. Like, could they go Cole Strange and Bill Belichick in New England and kind of go up ahead of schedule and take that center, John Michael Schmitz? I mean, it's a big need for the team.
Yeah, 1,000%. It's definitely in play. I mean, you have to have it in play. And John Michael Schmitz was the best center in college football last year. And if you aggregate the last 2 years, it'd be the same. He's been awesome on the field. Tippmann's a little bit bigger than he is and sort of rangier than he is. But I love the way that John Michael Schmitz plays. We saw him down at the Senior Bowl in Mobile. He's one of those guys that gets his teammates juiced up like during his reps. He's such a high motor player, and he's also super ambulatory. He'll get out to the second level, pick people off. He's one of those guys in zone that can consistently get the outside shoulder when he's pulling around on the guy. Like a lot of interior offensive linemen do not have sort of that short area acceleration where they can just pick off that outside shoulder because you know, both the acceleration, but then also the lower half movement and then to slide into place. He's really good with that stuff. His form is really good. And he's a kid who could have come out in last year's draft, been a fairly high pick, maybe not a first round pick, but probably on day 2. He decided he wanted to go back and finish things out with the kids that he had come into school with. And he had a fabulous season, best center in college football. So for me, yeah, he's in play starting around there in the 20s, whatever. I wouldn't quibble with it whatsoever if a center needy team took him at the end of the first round.
We're talking to Thor Nystrom, who does NFL draft and college football analyst for Fantasy Pros and Betting Pros. Thor, this last question from me comes from our almighty leader, Better Boss. And this is a very atypical question for Matt, because as Rick knows, who plays in many leagues, especially if it's a dynasty league, he goes for like the rookie. He wants to know who nobody knows about. And really, he's asking a question about round 3 in the draft. So Thor, he believes in your genius, and he wants to know what day 3 pick in the upcoming NFL draft will have a fantasy impact this season.
I got an answer for him. Evan Hull from Northwestern, the running back, a kid who was super underrated coming into the process, both because of the on-field situation at Northwestern. The only other plus starter they had on offense, the whole offense was Peter Skoronski, the left tackle, but the rest of the offensive line stunk. The quarterback couldn't hit receivers on the hands, and the receivers weren't good anyway. So Evan Hull came into every game as a marked man behind that bad offensive line, and he produced anyway. He is the most versatile receiving threat amongst this running back class, bar none. You look at percentage of snaps that he had in the slot, percentage of snaps that he had on the boundary, receptions, receiving yards, yards after the catch, A-dot, all of it, hands grade. All of it, Evan Hull is right dang near the top. And, the film, of course, backs this up. Like, he runs really precise routes, and he has really soft hands. He's also a super underrated runner, and that just goes back to the circumstance. Like, he was constantly being confronted by pressure, enemies at the gate immediately after he got the handoff, whatever. He learned how to denote when there was danger coming at him right from the get, and then to develop an alternate plan. Getting lateral and then jutting it around the side is something that he can do. He certainly has the juice for that. He proved the concept of that athleticism during the pre-draft process. There was people coming into the pre-draft process, Evan Hull was going to run in the 4.6s. That was not based on his athletic profile or, at all. Evan Hull grew up 20 miles from me or so in Maple Grove, Minnesota here. He was a track star in high school. He has no problems with athleticism. And he's also one of the few rocked up running backs in this class that has proven juice. He comes into the combine 5'10", 209, and then tested as a 93rd percentile size adjusted athlete with a 4.47 40. That kid can play. It's just people don't realize it yet. He is going to surprise in the NFL.
Let me ask you a follow-up here. Who would you compare him to in the NFL today? Are you talking more like an Austin Eckler, a Melvin Gordon, who was a track star as well? Who would you compare him to for running backs that we know of right now?
I'm going to go older school on you, Lisa Ann. I'm going to go with Joseph Adai, the old Colts running back, a guy who was also very similarly smooth as a receiver and someone who has an eerily similar size-adjusted athletic composite and a very similar frame.
Thor, I got one more for you, man. And I want to talk about Bijan Robinson. And I am not going to ask you the obvious question, is he the RB1 in this draft? Because everybody, even casual football fans, know that he is. Where do you have him going? I have him going to Cincinnati at 29, given the bubbling drama here with Joe Mixon. The reports are if he doesn't take a pay cut, they're going to bounce him. Leonard Fournette misplayed that hand in Tampa Bay. Zeke Elliott misplayed that hand in Dallas. And frankly, I anticipate Joe Mixon misplaying his hand as opposed to understanding the running back market in the NFL right now. Go ahead and take that money, young man, before all the other doors are closed on you. But given that drama, I got Bijan Robinson going to the Cincinnati Bengals. What do you think about that? Where do you have him going?
Yeah, it would be a very good fit, obviously, with the Mixon drama. I happen to think that his floor in the draft is 26 at Dallas. I just can't see Dallas, with the home state guy in Bijan, someone who has built sort of a legend status for him in that state at such a huge position of need. And when you're sitting at 26, you can't really make the position value argument there when you have one of the better prospects coming out of that position last 3, 4, 5 years, whatever. I think that's his floor. I think his ceiling is number 8 with Atlanta. The smoke hasn't stopped with Atlanta being interested in Bijan Robinson. I have a hard time getting my head around to a team taking a running back in the top 10, and yet it hasn't stopped. So someone in the Atlanta building is either for, I don't know if I can swear on this, but for craps and giggles, putting that out to his media contacts so that will gain traction because they're not interested in him, or the opposite reason they are, and they've been loose-lipped with it. But I would say that the Bijan Robinson watch starts at 8, and I just don't see it going past 26 with Dallas.
Thor, thank you so much for not only answering all of our questions, our listeners, and Bettor Boss. Where can everybody find your work?
You can find me on Twitter at ThorKU, and you can find my NFL draft stuff at Fantasy Pros and Betting Pros, where we have a free NFL draft guide for anyone that wants to see the mock drafts, the position rankings, scouting reports, different stuff like that.
I'm sure after listening to you tonight, everybody's going to want to see it. I love that you were actually able to spit out a round 3 draft pick that's going to make a difference. This is already a sleeper. We're already putting this in the sleeper category. I love it. Thank you so much for your time tonight, Thor Nystrom, who you can follow at ThorKU. Don't forget, the Fantasy Alarm has all the fantasy football and betting content you need to prepare for the NFL draft and the upcoming season, featuring Britt Flynn's mock draft, rookie scouting reports, NFL team needs, player projections, Discord chat, and more. For a limited time, get the complete NFL package plus DFS playbooks for all sports and an additional 20% off the already discounted annual price with the promo code NFL Draft at fantasyalarm.com. That's promo code NFL Draft at fantasyalarm.com. We're going to check in on what's happened in this 30 minutes. I see Rick's eyes just drifted. I know you're watching some NBA. I'm so jelly, but I recorded the games so I can watch them in their entirety as I pack for my trip. But I can't wait to get those updates. We'll get back to some NBA conversation. We'll also get back to all of you right here. It was a Scherzer. That's right. It was Scherzer today who got the suspension over the sticky icky. Can't wait to talk about that with Rick. You're listening to Lisa Ann and Rick Kamla right here. Bettor Sports Live on the Bettor Sports Network.
Front Yard Fantasy, weekdays at 3 Eastern on Bettor Sports Network.
Our great friend, Britt Flynn with Fantasy Alarm, and as the host of the Lightning Round podcast and the Herstory pod with Women of Fantasy Football.
Austin Knox, what happened to him this year?
Man, fell off.
Right? It's just gone. It's disappeared off the face of the map. You think Austin Knox can put together a comeback campaign here?
Man, I don't know. I think that kind of some of the Gabe Davis hype and a little bit of that system change took away his targets. And I think that they're probably going to go out there and get a legit wide receiver too. So I'm not really expecting him to bounce back like he did 2 years ago.
I think he's fine. I think he lives in the glob of tight ends. You know what I mean? Like he's not going to get better, but he's probably not going to get worse. And if you need a guy to plug in your roster who's got a shot at a touchdown, you grab Dawson Knox in that Bills offense.
And that's a good point too. Like there's Travis Kelce and then there's basically everybody else. A glob of tight ends was such an accurate description.
Yeah,
he is firmly in that glob for me.
Firmly in the glob.
It was a little bit disappointing this year. He didn't take that step up, but now he has cemented himself as, I'm not trying to project a breakout for Dawson Knox. There's some safety in what he's going to provide, and you can stream him pretty much any given week if you want to.
Jones gets hit, throws it left, caught by Slayton, down the left sideline, 15, 10, 5, touchdown Giants, Darius Slayton.
Speaking of Darius Slayton, how are we feeling about this New York Giants wide receiving core this upcoming year? I think a lot of question marks there.
Yeah, it's pretty much garbage right now, but if they were able to do it last season with what they had, I think Waller's going to open up a lot of different possibilities and avenues. So who knows? They could still be good, but I think they're going to invest heavily in the draft in some bona fide receivers.
I think so too. You think you guys think Sterling Shepard or Darius Slayton can make their way to fantasy relevance this year?
I can't see anything happening with Shepard after an ACL and then an Achilles. I mean, that's just seems almost insurmountable, and it really sucks because I love his story. Slayton, maybe. But if they go out and get somebody in the draft, I don't really think so.
So when the hell did Sterling Shepard turn 30? I just feel like he's still 26.
On his birthday.
Oh, thanks, Joey. But he's the kind of player, it's probably because we haven't seen maybe complete seasons get put together with the level of hype that we've had for Sterling Shepard in the past that it doesn't, I don't view him as a failure. You know what I mean? We see some of these players in the NFL and it feels like they've gotten older even though they're not performing. I just view him as hasn't broken out yet, but he's 30 years old. It's probably not happening.
Make bets and follow your fantasy team while you buy, sell, and trade collectibles in real time. Only on Bettor Sports Network.
And we are back right here. Lisa Ann, Rick Kamla, Bettor Sports Live with all of you right here at the Bettor Network. And Rick, I'm going to give you a little breathing room and touch on some NFL news and notes because I just peeped over to the score. It's not where you want it to be for the players that you need it to be in this Lakers-Memphis game. So let's talk about the fact that we've got somebody in the room from Australia. Now, understanding that the time difference there is I want to say about 15 hours because I think it was 10 hours when I was in LA. It's going to be 13 hours. I'm like, I'm thinking 5 hours like a flight. No, it's 3 hours time difference. But credit to it is the next day in Australia right now. And Brad, I want to give you a shout out for being here with us. Rick, if you haven't yet, you one day have to visit Australia. It's an absolutely beautiful country.
I believe it. I would love to go, and go to the outback and see all the weird animals, that aren't here in America. I love me some Outback Steakhouse. So
don't say that in Australia. Okay, don't say that.
Throw another shrimp on the barbie.
But I'll say this: what's crazy is I have friends that live in Brisbane, and so driving up to their neighborhood, that kangaroos are actually like deer. Like when you live in Pennsylvania at certain times of the year, when you see deer on the side of the road, you got to be really careful because one of them might run out in front of your car. Well, the kangaroos are much bigger and they will hop out in front of your car. And it is amazing to just see them wandering around in neighborhoods. It's like a fascinating thing. I love kangaroos.
It's they bounce around. They got a little pouch. And I didn't know that they were like the deers of because we see them at zoos. Like we make a big deal out of them over here. We don't really make a big deal out of deer. Over here, it's deer. People hunt deer. I don't hunt deer. I don't hunt Bambi.
Right. We don't walk up and feed them like we do the kangaroos at the sanctuaries. But let's talk a little NFL here.
Hold on a second. Do they have deers at the zoos in Australia? Do they like
no? They have
kangaroos.
That? No, they have kangaroos
at the zoos.
And they don't really do zoos. Like there, it's like you walk into their environment. So
Understood.
They take the older kangaroo that probably couldn't make it living on the streets, at the youth, and they put them in these sanctuaries and you get to go and they give you like these little bags of things that they like to eat. And they're so friendly. They walk right up to you and they'll just eat it like right out of your hand. Like I have like selfies of me like feeding kangaroos, but I will say when you see some of the older ones that are just like chilling, you don't really want to approach them. But when you look at how long their tail is and how strong that things look, they're a little bit scary. The little ones are super cute as they hop over to you. The Joey pouch is amazing. I don't know if you know, but the baby goes back in the pouch when they want to, which is fascinating. A lot of kangaroo talk, but that was just for our shout out for our new friend, Brad. It is 9:30 a.m. on Thursday morning in Australia right now. It is
Brad,
a new day.
Up? I'm glad he's along for the ride, man. That's awesome.
But I'll tell you what, the people in Australia love the NBA. You see more people wearing NBA jerseys there than any country I've visited so far. They absolutely love the NBA, and I'm sure Brad does too. But let's get to some NFL. Jalen Hurts gets his contract extension from the Eagles, 5 years, $255 million, $179 million guaranteed. That's some nice money right there. Did you see this coming? Because I think we've been so overwhelmed with the Lamar Jackson conversation. We've also been so underwhelmed with the Aaron Rodgers lack of conversation. And now we get Jalen Hurts getting the bag.
Yeah, this was, Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, they're up for this as well. So they probably will get the bag and and then dominate the news cycle for that minute. Good for Jalen Hurts, man. It's an absolutely amazing story where he's come from. I mean, like what I saw from him in college, LA, and I'm a talent evaluator and I take great pride in it. I did not see this. I didn't. I saw NFL quarterback, whether it's a bench guy or a starter for a long, long time. I definitely thought he would be in the NFL, but not at an MVP level, he was a weird ass fumble in the Super Bowl away from being crowned a champion in his second full season as a starting quarterback. This stuff doesn't make sense. Based on what we saw in college.
But this is when a player gets put in the right place at the right time.
Yes.
That line was incredible for Philadelphia. The options at receiver, incredible for Jalen Hurts. Even their running back room was fantastic. You have a good tight end or two. Like everything lined up. The stars aligned to bring out the best in Jalen Hurts. I'm still bitter over the penalty and the turf with the Super Bowl. I'm not over it yet. So him getting that money made me a little bit less mad at the sod father.
Sod father.
Sod father. I'm trying to, my boy, the sod father, the conspiracy with the sod, still bitter over it. But this is great. Now we know some of the pieces will not be the same in Philadelphia this year, but this definitely gives Jalen the confidence, who, by the way, has female representation. And so far in the NFL, this is the largest money deal done to this date by female representation. I think that's a big deal as well. But does this make Lamar say, man, I should get an agent? Or does this make Lamar just still stand his ground? Because I don't think it's a great idea for him to not play a season.
I think he'll ultimately play. I think the Odell Beckham signing gave us a pretty clear indication that he's going to play. They're going to haggle and do their thing here over the offseason. But I would look at this contract as a template for a Lamar Jackson contract. I mean, they're similar dudes, okay, and coming out of college and maybe exceeding expectations a little bit. Jalen got to MVP level, would have won the award, I believe, had he not gotten hurt. Obviously, Lamar Jackson did win MVP. And Jalen's gone farther with him in terms of team success. I'd rather have Jalen Hurts than Lamar Jackson, okay? I'm not saying, but where Lamar thinks he is, based on where the Ravens think he is, because the Ravens, according to reports, have made very, very healthy offers to Lamar. It just hasn't been good enough. He wants it all guaranteed in this kind of thing. What I would say to Lamar is Jalen Hurts is higher on the food chain than you right now by quite a bit. And he did not demand from his team all guaranteed money, okay? Get over the Deshaun Watson contract. Get over it. Yeah. Because these teams don't want to do that. Yes, Cleveland went down that road. The other teams are like, over our dead bodies, are we doing this? So he needs to get over that and look at the Hurts contract. Look, it's $180 million guaranteed. Come on,
179 guaranteed. And look, we heard yesterday, Ian Rappaport visited McAfee and talked about the money that was offered to Lamar, that Lamar did not accept, right? The communication that they've been going back and forth. But like at that point, you got to step off your principle. You got to step away from it, because 179 guaranteed is better than no guaranteed, right? You're putting yourself in a situation right now. You're going to get tagged, that it's got to be, and this is where I do believe that you go to people that are smarter than you. I think it's great that Lamar wants his mom as a part of a team. I get that. But I have so many examples in my life alone where had I put a deal together on my own, I wouldn't be getting paid residuals each year at a renewal fee on deals, right? There's just people that this is the language and the documents and the things that they read, and they also can give you some insight. Maybe you're feeling a little bit of hubris and your agent's the one that says, you know what, you should just, stuff your sorries in a sack and just, accept this deal. This is a good deal. And let me explain to you why. Maybe it's the lack of education from somebody sharing with him. This is a good deal. This is what the narrative is set at right now. Stop comparing yourself to the Deshaun Watson deal.
Yeah. I mean, you've got, this is gigantic business. All right. And so you have to play by the rules of engagement. They're not established by Lamar Jackson. They're not. They're established by the owners who have the money and the market of the players. And Lamar is totally misplaying this. He should be taking what the Baltimore Ravens have for him. They have a very healthy offer on the table. It's not fully guaranteed, but something close to what Hurts just got should fit the bill. I mean, otherwise you're being greedy, because think about it, LA. Jalen Hurts is at elite quarterback money. Lamar Jackson wants to be paid elite quarterback money. Okay. So if you're getting what Hurts got or thereabouts, you're getting elite quarterback money. That should be good enough. And if you want more, then I can't rock with you anymore.
I would agree with that as well. And also, when you think about being smart about it, right? If you stop dealing with this issue and you accept something decent, it's still great money. I'm going to use an example, different sport, but Steph Curry. His new deal with Under Armour is worth $215 million.
Wow, good for
him.
him.
If you step away from this paperwork, guess what? You're going to open up the room for some new deals. You're going to get that 30, 40, 50 million back as an influencer doing endorsements, what have you. You're a great brand. He's never been on the wrong side of the field. We've never heard anything bad about Lamar. This is souring people on Lamar. This will become part of what holds him back from building his brand and getting other side deals. Get on your side hustle. Curry's on his side hustle. And let's not forget, Curry is also making good NBA money. This is the biggest deal so far. $215 million. That's a big one. Let's go to the Rams. Trading wide receiver Allen Robinson to the Steelers for the 7th round pick, pending a physical. Okay, first of all, I need to know, is Allen Robinson, is there life support there? We didn't see anything from Allen Robinson. Now, was it the quarterback situation? I mean, when Matthew Stafford started the season before he got injured last year, he only focused on Cooper Kupp. And right away, we were like, oh no. Then Cooper Kupp gets injured, and you think, oh, this is Allen Robinson's chance, right? This is when he, but when you didn't put him in the system and use him as a strong 3 from the jump, you did yourself a disservice, and you did him a disservice because it was already a new team. Do you think this is a good fit for the Steelers to take on Allen Robinson? Do you still think he still has some tread left on the tire?
We'll find out. I don't love the move, but at the cost that they got him, I think it's smart business. The Rams are paying $10 million of his salary. 5 of it will be picked up by Pittsburgh. I would pay Allen Robinson $5 million to be my third receiver this upcoming season. I would.
And you would also pay him $10 million to get him out of your camp. That's a whole nother story. Like, you are willing to give him $10 million to leave your locker room.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. It's a baseball thing, right? Where you have these bulbous contracts. I'll pay $80 million of his remaining $100. You pick up the 20, he's yours. You don't see this a lot in the NFL, but what it speaks to is what we saw last year. He did not fit or vibe at all with Matt Stafford. Okay. And so you got to get guys your quarterback wants. And he is made, makes a ton of money. So they made the decision we'd rather eat the 10 mil and get somebody else on the field for Stafford to throw to.
He's a great wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 for Pittsburgh.
So
wait a second. Heavy D has an update. We only gave up a 7th round pick, and the Rams gave them their 7th round pick in return. So in reality, they almost got him for free.
It's a salary dump by the Rams. That's all this is. And for the Steelers, you've got George Pickens. He can go slaughter outside, but he's a field stretcher, right? You've got Deontay Johnson. He's primarily, based on my eye test, an outside guy. Can go in the slot clearly, but Allen Robinson now will be, I think, sort of that main slot for Pittsburgh. That's going to lead, especially with a dink and dunk guy like Kenny Pickett, to a lot of targets and some catches. The problem is you've got Freiermuth. They throw to Harris. Pickens and Johnson are going to be higher in the target share. So I don't really see a great fantasy season coming up here from Allen Robinson, but I do like to get as another layer of a security blanket for his QB, Kenny Pickett.
Let me ask you this. Do you think that Allen Robinson this year playing for Pittsburgh pending his physical is a good best ball player? Because he may have 3 to 5 wily games in the season that give you monster points in a best ball league that you don't have to set your weekly lineup.
Yes. I think that's exactly the way to go. I'm not going to be real hot on Allen Robinson in regular leagues, okay? But in a best ball, and again, we're talking deep here, LA. I'm not like going out to get him, right? Pittsburgh's number 3 with Kenny Pickett at quarterback. This is not like the most fertile ground for goodies that a lot of other teams have. So I think best ball is the perfect area for Allen Robinson, but again, late.
And you're going to hear me throwing that out here a lot on the show, Rick, because I'm going to do an entire month. I'm going to do 30 for 30 in July. The entire month, one best ball a day. And I'm going to be hitting it heavy for our friends all over the world. I'm going to make them at different times on different days. So someone like Brad, who's in Australia, doesn't miss out because they're mainly on times where it's a different day. I'm going to make this happen. It's going to be a ton of fun. I'm going to start putting out my picks of like top 10 players for season long versus top 10 players for best ball and why.
Nice.
Not that
Nice.
Allen Robinson would be in that 10, but one of the greatest stories of the week so far this week. I think we've gotten overshadowed with the drama with the NBA, but to know that DeMar Hamlin has been cleared for football activities has to be the greatest story. And I've been listening to him do a bit of, small interviews here and there. And the fact that, we didn't really think he'd play. He didn't really even consider that. Nobody's thinking about that. This was such a moment, right? This was devastating. Nobody's ever heard an entire stadium get that quiet. Those emergency workers who came out and worked so hard as they did made all the difference. If that would have been a different situation, if people weren't as highly skilled and aware of what was happening, the fact that this kid can play again it's got to be the greatest comeback story, better than Rudy. And I hope we get a 30 for 30 on it immediately. And he has a ton of success this season. How do you feel about it? I mean, how excited were you when you heard this news for him?
It's amazing because it's one of those things where like life before sports, right? So you don't really want to go too far down the will he ever play again road. Okay. Like in our setting here, or anywhere, it's kind of looked at as insensitive. And rightly so, based on what he went through. Now, I would say journalistically, it's still a big part of the story here. Okay.
Yeah.
This is a guy who had a breakout year last year. He was fantastic filling in for Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer when, he was in and out, but Hyde got blown up for the whole year. He's a hard hitting guy. He comes up and smacks you. He is a great run supporter from the safety spot, which leads to tackles, which makes him a very relevant player in IDP leagues. I personally have a lot of shares of Damar Hamlin around my IDP dynasty leagues because of that. And he's a younger guy. But tackles, I'm obsessed with tackles. It's like strikeouts in baseball. I got to have tackles, like threes in basketball. These are the categories I got to have. And he gives that. So this year they're going to have Poyer back. They're going to have Hyde back. So I don't know, like he's going to be a backup barring some kind of an injury, but it's phenomenal that he's getting his career back because you think about the shot he took to the chest, the cardiac arrest, maybe some.
He died twice.
Exactly. Maybe some ancillary stuff that happened where, I don't know, maybe his limbs don't operate quite the same as before, right? Because of the cardiac arrest. I don't know any of that kind of stuff.
Well, it's
so
just a
amazing.
great story. It's an amazing story. And it was a great piece of info to get out there yesterday and hear everybody's exciting thoughts about it. And congratulations to him and his family, the team around him that worked so hard. But what's not great in Buffalo right now is Stephon Diggs is having a little holdout. It seems that there was a little talk that him and Josh Allen didn't leave the season on a high note. And he's not at camp.
I mean, it could be nothing and it could be something. Steph Diggs left I believe he either didn't do his exit interview at the end of the year or left it early or something like that. There was a little bit of a sign. And remember, he was all pissed at Josh Allen on the sideline of their last game. There might be something here. There might. He's obviously an amazing player. Top 5 wide receiver, great fantasy player. Josh Allen's number 1, and Buffalo's doing nothing without him. But will he be there? I believe he will. Josh.
And we have to also keep in mind these are still considered voluntary. But I did just tweet the story in case anybody missed it today. I like to throw out some of the stories that we're covering. So let's talk about the Arizona Cardinals. It doesn't really seem Arizona, such a pretty place, right? You'd love to live in Scottsdale. It's beautiful there. It's really hot. The everything looking, the terracotta color. I love Camelback Ranch. Like it's a great spot. It doesn't seem like any of these players want to be there. And the Cardinals safety Budda Baker requested a trade. And guess what? The Cardinals said no. It reminds me of an episode of Seinfeld where George tried to break up with his girlfriend and she would not accept the breakup. Do you remember that episode? If you don't, I know someone in this room remembers that episode.
Oh, I remember it absolutely. It was.
She won't let me break up with her. She won't let me break up with her. What do I do? And then everybody's telling him things to do to get her to break up with him.
I actually had a girl in college that was kind of like that.
You broke up with her and she wouldn't let you?
Yeah, it was. We were. I was a frat boy at Sigma Nu, and so. There was a frat party and, I was kind of messing around, like I wasn't looking at it anything steady, trust me. But it was frequent and multiple. Okay. And so there was more than just, sort of a ONS. But she wanted, so I had to at one of our parties one night, I had to break up with her and this isn't working for me or whatever. And she was like, okay. And she was there with a friend and she stayed and partied. In our frat. And I just went out and flirted with other girls and drank my face off and had fun and that kind of thing. But she stayed and she drifted off at some point.
Well, George didn't do as well as you. We got 2 more NFL notes here to tap on. New England Patriots say the OC Bill O'Brien is giving Mac Jones a fresh start. My question for Bill O'Brien is, who are you going to give Mac Jones to throw the ball to? Is he going to have a more concise set of receivers, tight ends, weapons to choose from? Because of the lack of options Mac Jones has had, I haven't been able to form a complete strong opinion on if I truly believe in him as a great quarterback. I definitely know he's not a slinger. He's not throwing bombs down the field, right? But will we see more, and will they build more consistency around him? Because I think it's just making him look bad.
I mean, good luck with Bill O'Brien, okay? I'm not a fan. He ruined the Houston Texans. Pardon me one second here.
He did. Oh, we got a sneeze coming. We got a sneeze. It happens.
I had a big time sneeze. I'm so sorry about that. Like I had
to
turn my mic off and the whole thing. Sorry about that. Okay. Bill O'Brien is running the Patriots offense. Hello. Is that ringing alarms for anybody else? It is for me. Okay. Is he an upgrade over the buffoons / asshats they had last year with Patricia and Judge? Yes, it's an upgrade, but not by much. Okay. I believe that that Mac Jones has pissed off Bill Belichick, and this is obviously through a lot of reporting with what he was saying about his guys last year and just sort of trying to big boy the whole process when Belly is obviously the GOAT of that whole thing. I think Bill Belichick is ready to pull the plug and ready to go to Bailey Zappi. And depending on how it goes in the a training camp and then the preseason games, I think Bill Belichick wants a couple of things. I want Mac Jones to come out here and not play all that well to help my decision here and help everybody else to see what I'm seeing and get Bailey Zappi up in there. Now,
and Zappi had moments, no doubt about it. Zappi made it work, right?
He's not untalented, okay? That's why he's on the Pats. That's why he's in the NFL. The guy doesn't suck. Frankly, I like Jared Stidham better than him. I'm not a huge Stidham guy, but I like Stidham better than Zappi. But I think Belichick's going to ultimately want something new. If Mac Jones starts the season, loses game 1, comes back in week 2, and is not playing all that well, they're down by 10 at halftime, boom, you're going to see Bailey Zappi in the third quarter of the second game. I think it's like that. But
so a fantasy football question for you here. Better Boss says Patriots offense has to look 1,000 times better than what it was. Will you or will you not draft Mac Jones in any of your many fantasy football leagues? Now, before you answer that question, it's a twofold. Are you a one quarterback drafter? Do you not keep a quarterback on your bench, or do you draft 2? Because I asked because Mac Jones could be a good backup quarterback in case there's an injury or a bye week situation, but maybe he wouldn't be your starter.
If I'm in a redraft league, I take one quarterback. And I make it work on the waiver wire because there's a lot of churn and burn with guys on the fringe there. So I'm going to be able to find a guy when my guy's on the bye. So I'd rather take a wide receiver or running back and roll the dice on a sleeper late in the draft, somebody that caught my eye and see if it catches a spark. So that's how I operate with that. Now, if I'm in a 2 quarterback league, I'm obsessed with quarterbacks, and I got to have at least 3. I usually try to get 4 and kind of just try to buzzkill somebody else and keep them from a QB thinking maybe a trade offer is going to come, all that kind of stuff. But New England has done a good job, LA, of adding to their offense. James Robinson, I'm just kind of going with the flow of the depth chart here. He'll be the backup to Ramondre Stevenson. Not great, but he's good. He can do some Damian Harris stuff. You got Juju Smith-Schuster, and you got Mike Gesicki. Okay, and Mike Gesicki and Hunter Henry, you're very good at tight end.
God,
Juju,
I really
obviously,
wish, but
solid.
You know what? As good as Hunter Henry is, he is not fantasy relevant in New England for some reason. It kills me. He was so good when he was with the Los Angeles Chargers, and I thought this was going to be a great move. And it makes me blame Mac Jones because I know that Hunter Henry is a good tight end. And you could tell by the emotional reaction I have when you brought him up that I overdrafted Hunter Henry and then didn't see the production that I needed in my fantasy leagues last season. So I'm right there with you with Hunter Henry, but I just don't see it happening for him with Mac Jones as his quarterback.
Look, I agree with all of that. Now, 2 years ago, Hunter Henry got 9 touchdowns from Mac Jones, and they were a real red zone thing. Helped me win the Cam Dynasty Championship. It's a 2 tight end league, and I had Schultz and I had Henry, and both were very, very good back in 2021. Last year was a different story. One of the reasons why I didn't win that league, my league, this season, but they've done a good job, I think, of fortifying their skill rooms. I really do. They're setting up whoever's under center for a relative amount of success. Now, Devontae Parker and Kendrick Bourne are your wide receivers 2 and 3. They could take a wide out in the draft. I would certainly recommend that, but they've addressed it at least. I'm seeing them. They're making some moves here, and I like it.
By the way, Better Boss says the best ball season starts on 4/30. I know it does, and I will be doing some best ball drafts before July, Better Boss. But people think you're crazy when you ask them to draft in April and May, and they really think you have a problem. So I'm going to try and tap in when people are starting to really miss sports, because the NBA playoffs will be wrapped up and, people watch a bit of baseball but still want to get some action. I think July is really the sweet spot because it's a great way to mock draft your way to your season-long drafts by really getting the player depth, really doing a ton of best balls. I just think it's the perfect time. So I do understand. I love the suggestion. One more NFL note here. ESPN Louis Riddick says the Jets need a contingency plan if the Rodgers deal fails. I am losing my absolute mind that there is no movement. It's actually become a moot topic. Like, wait a minute. Everybody hated on Aaron Rodgers for going into a darkness retreat, okay? And thinking out what he wants to do next. Nobody's hating on Green Bay for not getting this deal done and letting the man move on with his life after they came out and made it pretty clear that they didn't want to do business with him anymore. I'm appalled. Where is the media uproar? Where is the backlash from society? The vitriol that is spewed towards the name Aaron Rodgers. I've never heard more people tell me they don't like somebody that they've never met in person. First of all, how can you not like somebody you never met in person? But that's you. Okay, great. You're so disgruntled by him. This conversation was early March. We have had no other answers, and Jets fans like Greeny are just left hanging to dry, right? My friends in the building, all Jets and Giants fans, they can't even talk about it. If I bring it up, they're like, I just don't want to talk about it until we hear something. What? What?
I found that a lot of people don't like Aaron Rodgers.
But I don't understand why.
I mean, they all have their reasons. I'm not one of them, but I've heard voices on this platform.
I know.
Very, very heady, brilliant voices.
People are very judgy, and they don't like him, but yet they don't sit and put in the work doing Aaron Rodgers Tuesdays on McAfee like I do. They don't sit and do the book club for Rodgers. They don't give the time to understand the human. He's a very evolved, chill human, and they just get caught up in the all the headlines. Oh, this is his fault. This is his fault. Okay, great. Can these same people be angry that this deal isn't done? Or are we going to find out something draft night? And by the way, if this deal doesn't go through, what's Aaron Rodgers going to do then?
Yeah, LA. Look, I'm with you. Green Bay is jamming him up, and I think you want to talk about the Spike Coffee store that Larry David cooked up in a recent season of Curb. I think there's some spike going on here with Green Bay. That we're not going to just automatically give you what you want. We're not going to take a third when we want a second with this little construction of the trade. And so they're making him sweat. Like he's made them sweat. And I don't have a problem with how Rodgers has handled his business. I think Green Bay has done him wrong more than he has done them wrong. Okay. The Jordan Love drafting, not getting enough receivers and tight ends around him, all that kind of stuff. Right.
Wait a minute. I'm going to interject right here. Not only have they done Rodgers wrong, but they also did Jordan Love wrong too. You're going to take this quarterback and sit him for 3 seasons now and create this drama in a draft. You move up a pick when you already have your quarterback, and then your quarterback, guess what? You can't play Jordan Love because he wins the MVP 2 seasons in a row. Really? This is what you're doing? And now because you got caught kind of in a situation where you talked smack that you don't want him on your team anymore, now you won't let him go. It's beyond spite store. It's petty. And if I were a Green Bay fan, I might want a new regime.
LA, look, Gutekunst and Murphy, I think they stink. I mean, I really do. I don't think they're good at their jobs. I think I could do a better job. I think we could do a better job running that franchise. So what can I say? I don't, Gutekunst and Murphy, I don't know what they think about him in Green Bay. I have found that, I don't know, some of the fans up there tend to be pretty gullible. And, especially in Minnesota with the Vikings. I mean, they'll buy any damn thing the Vikings sell to them. It's like, you understand that this team is going to disappoint you and break your heart, right? No, we're going to get him this year. Really? After all these years, you actually think that? Yeah, we're going to get him this year. Okay. Have fun on Delusional Boulevard.
Byron says Jets better rethink the Rodgers trade. They're only getting 2 years max out of him. I think that's all they really need out of him, honestly. And I think by that time, they get the opportunity to decide what they're going to do with Zach Wilson. And they have a lot of players that they're bringing on this team that I also feel only have 2 years of good football left in him. How many more years Alan Lazard got left on him, right? They've made enough moves, but I just think this is lasting way too long now. We got a little update that I think you probably know about in the NBA in that Lakers game. Is this true? A little birdie here. That's an old school expression. Do you remember it, Rick?
Yes, of course.
And when was it used for you when you were growing up? Who would use it?
Probably like a Peter Vesey on the NBA on NBC, where he'd come out and he'd have all the scoops and he'd be like, a little birdie told me, so-and-so's not going to play today. His knee just isn't responding to treatment, blah, blah, blah. That's probably the first time I heard that.
We had it growing up. So growing up, whenever something happened that we didn't think was making its way back home or to my grandparents, and my aunts were always in the school and they would call, I saw so-and-so talk to so-and-so today. So we would get home from school and it was always be, so a little birdie told me that you were doing this today at school. And of course I was already old enough to know that a little birdie, but I always wanted to know, are you the birdie? Like I would ask people, are you the birdie? Which was in nice words, you're the snitch, right? So that's my whole relation. But a little birdie did tell me that our friend Anthony Davis just so happened to get a cut above his eye. Could you fill me in since I know you have the game on?
Yeah, it was and he just got really banged around here going for a rebound. This has been a brutal game physically. Anthony Davis had a jump ball with Desmond Bain. Referee threw the ball in the air. Desmond Bain going for the ball, and his elbow clipped Anthony Davis right here on the side of the eye, like where the orbital bone kind of edges. And he opened up a little cut. It wasn't like the cut that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had a week or so ago. It's a little cut, not a huge deal. I don't believe he even missed a minute of the game. Covered it up, got him right back in. He's in the game right now. Jaren Jackson Jr. LA. This is not good news for my prop. Turned his ankle early in the game, went to the locker room, came back out, back in the game. He's playing right now. Moments ago, he had a collision, very hard collision on a block charge play where he got upended with David Roddy and appeared to injure his right hand. And so now he's suffered a couple of dings in this game and very much trending under on the 22.5. And yes, that does suck.
It's a lot. It's a lot. I mean, there we have that NBA action. How are you feeling so far about, did you see hockey player, 75 stitches? Did you see this?
I saw the story. I did not see the play, but I saw the story.
And hockey players they're just built different. Did you know they stitched them right up back there and let them Winnipeg Jets player took a skate to the face. And when you see the images, the skate was here and then he kind of got pushed by accident from behind. So the skate just like lacerated his face. 75 stitches. And as soon as they were done stitching him up, you know what he did? He asked if they scored and he went back in the game.
Yeah, I love it. I love me some NHL playoffs, and I'm trying to see.
Again, are you telling me that Sabonis is really that injured that he's questionable from a step when my boy can get 75 stitches? And by the way, that's Morgan Barron is the player's name from the Winnipeg Jets. By the way, when you're getting those stitches, they're not putting you to sleep. You know that, right?
God. This guy landed on a machete face first. That's what's going on here. Oh my God.
Yes. And he went right back in that bad boy. Okay?
And what a stud, man. What a stud. But these are the rules of engagement in hockey, LA, that you have to do this. That's what they all do.
You don't have to, but you're gonna. You know why? You're gonna go out there and you're gonna get the person back to hit you, no matter what. But the fact that you don't get put under when you're getting these stitches, they're just sewing you up in the back before you swell really bad, right? Blood everywhere. And the first question you ask is, "Hey, did we score?" And then you go right back up in the game like that. Hockey players are just built different.
They are, man. That's what I'm talking about. That's my style. All this load management in the NBA and oops, I'm at 91% and I can't play drives me friggin' crazy. I get it if you're injured and you've got a broken thumb or you've got, a second grade MCL sprain. Like I get it. There's injuries, but I wish more NBA players were like the aforesaid hockey player. That's what I'm talking about.
I just find it fascinating. And that's why hockey fans love hockey, right? They love the commitment. They feel the same amount of passion that their players are feeling. Like, there's no doubt it's a different fan base because they're like, oh, he's out, but you know what? He's going to come back in. Whereas us, we see, AD go back to the locker room and the whole world's in a panic. Oh, is he going to miss the rest of the game? What's going to happen? Like, the world goes completely upside down. Whereas you're at a hockey game, you're like, you know what? Let's go get some popcorn. He's going to come back after he gets 75 stitches is a shit ton of stitches.
Yeah, I mean, these guys take a puck in the face trying to block a shot and like blood all over the ice, and they come right back in the game and this kind of thing. Like, it's it's kind of the rules of engagement because this is the hockey playoffs, man. This is blood and guts for these markets. All right. So if you have a cut and you can skate and use your arms and score the puck, and you're not coming back in the game, your fan base is going to be like, what a wussy. Like, what are we doing here? You're a hockey player. Rub some dirt on it. Put some ice on it. Get back in the game. So it's kind of the rules of engagement. I'm not trying to dumb down what this guy is doing, but that's just kind of how it is in hockey.
All right. Now that we covered that, let's talk about the NBA score that we're looking at right now. We are almost at the half in this Lakers-Grizz game. Grizz are up 59-43. What is going on in Los Angeles? I know you said it's a battle, but we got to do the halfway check-in on Ricky's props for the first round right here. You had LeBron James at Memphis over 26.5 points. You also had LeBron James at Memphis over the combo for points and rebounds at 35.5. We know LeBron can kick up the gas in the second half, but how are you feeling right now? Because I'm looking at the box score.
I'm feeling good about the LeBron props. I am. We're on pace for those 6 rebounds, so that's ahead of schedule. A little bit behind the pace with 12 points. We got to get to 26.5. We got the over there, but I see a big second half from him. Memphis has the final possession of the first half here, 16-point lead. They're going to dribble it down and take a shot. And from the LA side, you got to stop them right here. I mean, they could get it to 19 with a 3. They double team Bane. He throws it away. Here's Braun to Reeves. Get it back to Braun. He got bumped and fouled. And I say get it back to Braun because we got the over prop here. But Reeves will now be at the free throw line. 5.5 seconds left. A chance with 2 free throws to cut it to 14. That right there was a big swing for the Los Angeles Lakers. Could have been 19. 2 free throws, you get it to 14. Maybe Memphis misses this last shot here with 5.5 to go, and you're down 14 at half. Well within striking distance of this team. So I think we're going to have a very spicy second half, LA. They got to peel some pain in the locker room. They got to get a better overall effort. Their defense sucks tonight. They've given up 59. And Anthony Davis has got to click it in a little bit here,
Anthony Davis?
LA.
Let's talk about Russell. I mean, like, what are you doing, buddy? You played 12 minutes. You have 3 points. D'Angelo, I mean, I know you're better than this. But here are my 2 thoughts. They're in Memphis. He either had some really good heavy food, because you know how good the food is, the heavy food in Memphis, or he got carried away doing a tour at Graceland. Every single time I ever went to Memphis, I went to Graceland to pay my respects to Elvis, because he's also buried on the property. So you get to and I just love doing the tour. Have you ever been to Graceland?
I have not.
What are you doing? I mean, you got to go see Elvis's house.
I haven't been to Memphis. I have flown through Memphis. I have not, been out in Memphis too. I've never been to Beale Street. And so that's a city that I have not explored yet. In terms of, what we're talking about here, the grindhouse is rocking tonight, LA, and home court advantage is definitely helping the home guys.
For sure.
Bane has 13. Tillman has a surprising 12, but Anthony Davis, 1 of 9 from the field. Yuck. And D'Lo, your guy, 1 of 4 from the field. Those 2 dudes got to kick it in here for the Los Angeles Lakers.
Yeah, no doubt. LeBron James, a little bit older than these young kids, and he's already got 6 rebounds. I mean, he's getting it done with his 12 points in 17 minutes. Hachimura is still getting it done tonight as well with 9 points. But Yeah, I want to see this pop off, but this is a game you say it's a pretty aggressive one. I'm looking forward to watching it later. We've got hockey playoff games are usually every other day, while the NBA takes off 2 days or more. Hockey players are way tougher than NBA players will ever be. That's from Heavy T on Air. And Wendy over here says, shout out to Wendy. We're going to actually get to meet in person Friday in Chicago. I'm super stoked about it. You know, I love to make my friends on the internet and meet them in real time. Duck and Keith lost 5 teeth and came back in. I mean, that's a hockey move right there.
What I'm talking about, man, it's, I don't know, LA. I just think that's the right mindset, right? It's a flesh wound. It hurt like crap. It was torture when I had the stitches put in and all this kind of stuff. I'm going to be in pain overnight. I might not sleep all that well, but damn it, I have to be there for my team in my city. That's what I'm talking about.
Tyler Hero breaking his hand is definitely a setback as well. Most likely out for the rest of the NBA Finals.
So Tyler Hero, you know, this game later here with Milwaukee and Miami has become so much more intriguing with the news that Giannis is not going to play. Herter is a huge loss for Miami, 20 points a game, you know, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. He's a borderline all-star. And they're going to miss him. And they don't have a deep team at all, LA. They were already shallow with Tyler Hero. Now they're like 2 dudes short. You know, the guy they were short before, and now they're without Tyler Hero. So, you know, I would say Miami is in trouble, but just the playing field's been leveled here with Giannis being out for Milwaukee, which shocks me, by the way. I am completely shocked by that. I'm not there. I don't know the extent of this back injury, but I don't know, like, are we load managing here? Are we taking our opponent lightly here? Are we just breaking out enough of Giannis to get by Miami? I think it's a dangerous game if that game is being played. And Coach Bud is very cautious and very bubble wrappy with his guys. And yes, it drives me crazy.
Well, I will say this. I know you saw it. I know you saw it when Giannis was out, when after Giannis was out of the game, they were doing a pan around the arena. And they were showing fans who looked like they were being forced to sit there. They had absolutely no enthusiasm at all. The arena was deflated once Giannis was off the court. It was just heartbreaking to watch. It's not what we want. We don't want to see this. We don't want bubble wrapping. We don't want any of that. What we do want is have a chat with our friend Dexter Henry, sports anchor for NY New York Post and SY and SNY TV. He's going to be joining us. I'm sure we're going to touch on a lot of NBA, what he thinks for the rest of this round 1. We'll get to that. All of you, thanks for all your comments in there. Brad, I see you hit it on the Twitter. Way to go. I'm loving all of this interaction. Thanks you so much for being here. We will be back with Dexter Henry on the other side. Lisa Ann and Rick Kamla on Bettor Sports Live on the Bettor Sports Network.
The 5 Pack with Kyle Elfrink, weekdays from 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern on Bettor Sports Network.
Jalen Hurts has got a new contract. It is 5 years, $255 million. Now, if you follow anything in the NFL, you know the argument is always about guaranteed money. That's why Lamar Jackson's holding out. Lamar Jackson's winning like $230 million guaranteed. Jalen Hurts reportedly is getting $180 million guaranteed. Now that sets a new standard. Lamar Jackson says the standard is Deshaun Watson. The rest of the NFL says it's not. Now the standard is $180 million. So I just want Lamar Jackson to hear this. Jalen Hurts today was more than happy to take $180 million guaranteed. Jalen Hurts has probably not accomplished as much as Lamar Jackson, but in a manner of speaking, and this is just my opinion, Jalen Hurts started from a weaker spot than did Lamar Jackson when he came to the NFL. Both guys were seen as a bit of a project. Both guys were seen as more runner than thrower. To me, Lamar Jackson has improved slightly as a thrower, but is still mostly a runner. Jalen Hurts has improved an incredible amount as a thrower, and he's done it in a lot more of a quick time frame than Lamar Jackson. Jalen Hurts has arrived in the NFL as an unfinished product. It's not finished, but the polishing and the improvement has been off the charts. Much better than Lamar Jackson. And Jalen Hurts more than happy to take $180 million guaranteed. Lamar Jackson not. Lamar Jackson's still holding out. Now, those aren't the only 2 quarterbacks thinking about money today. kudos to Jalen Hurts. Lamar Jackson's still pouting. Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert. I will tell you this. At some point in the next month, I would suggest one, if not both those guys, Burrow and Herbert, will do even better than Jalen Hurts in terms of guaranteed money. Because that's what this is about. It's ego. That's what these guys love. He gets 180, Burrow will go 182, and Herbert will go 185. Meanwhile, Lamar Jackson will still be pouting and saying, why am I not getting 230? Maybe he comes to his senses after all this. Who knows? But Eagles get it taken care of. Jalen Hurts signed, sealed, and delivered. A lot of guaranteed money.
Make bets and follow your fantasy team while you buy, sell, and trade collectibles in real time. Only on Bettor Sports Network.
And we are back right here. Lisa, Ann, and Rick Kamla, joined by our friend Dexter Henry, who you can follow at DHenryTV. He's a sports anchor for the New York Post and SNY TV. Dexter, we're in a magical time of the year. It's the NBA playoffs, the NHL playoffs, the NFL draft is a week and a day away. How are you feeling tonight? And where do you want to go with all this? Can our New York Knicks do anything is my question.
Oh, you got a lot of you got a lot of stuff there. That is the right question, Lisa. Can the New York Knicks do anything? I think I predicted the Knicks will win this series in 6 games. A lot of Knicks fans are down today. They are very hard on RJ Barrett here in New York. I've heard it on the Sports Talk Radio. A lot of people want him out of here. The Knicks didn't shoot the ball well in game 2. They did not take care of the ball well in either of these games, to be honest. They have not played their best game yet in the series. But look, they've done their job. Tied at 1, going back to New York. It is going to be rocking at Madison Square Garden on Friday. I still think the Knicks can win this. I think they're the deeper team. The Cavs have the best player in the series, but I think the Knicks are the deeper team here. They can out-hustle the Cavs, but I think this is going 6. Could go 7. Wouldn't shock me. This is going to be a good series.
Dexter, what's happening, man? Good to have you back on.
Yeah, man. Good to see you, Reg. How you doing, man? Good?
I'm chilling. I'm doing great, man. Doing absolutely great. So let's talk about the Knick flow here. You've got RJ Barrett in a bad way right now. You've got Emmanuel Quickly in a bad way right now. And you've got Quentin Grimes in a bad way right now. These guys had not joined the party. And so what is the city of New York saying about them? More importantly, what are you saying about that? Like, should RJ be taking on the brunt of this sort of blame or whatever we want to call it? Or do you think there's some blame to go around there? And maybe you're kind of maybe more collectively looking at that group as opposed to just singling out RJ?
Yeah. What I'll say is I look at it more collectively. Like, personally, that's how I look at it, right? Like, I look at it that everybody hasn't shot the ball well. These guys have had good looks. You're not hitting open shots. The majority of the fan base, though, their brunt's going to RJ. And I think a lot of that has to do with where he was picked in the 2019 draft, what the expectations are for him. He signed a contract extension that kicks in next year. I see your hands, Rick. You're talking about that money. And I think
Johnny Manziel. It was a Johnny Manziel reference. I'm kidding.
There you go. Right.
Show me the money, baby.
Show me the money. And I think that has a lot to do with it. And I think RJ has done some things well, but I think what's hurt RJ is he hasn't consistently hit the outside shot. His defense has regressed this year, and that's where a lot of Knicks fans are unhappy. But the blame is to go all around. But here's what we know, guys, from watching basketball, watching playoff basketball. Role players, more so Quickly and Grimes, I expect them to shoot better at the Garden than they did in Cleveland. We should see these guys shoot the ball better than they did. Quickly is a guy, when he's had a couple of bad games, he's bounced back well this season. Same for Grimes. He's shooting the ball well at the end of the year. This is his first taste of the playoffs. I think that's why fans are giving those guys a bit more slack. Does RJ need to get it going? Absolutely. He's got to be better. He's the X factor for the Knicks in this series. I think if he doesn't shoot the ball better or at least attack the rim and get to the line more, the Knicks are not going to win. He's a huge X factor. He's done some other good things like rebound the ball well. He had 5-6 assists, I believe, in the first game, but he's got to be better about knocking down the open shots that he's getting. That just has to happen.
So I have to ask you, the biggest topic of the day was the surprise that many of us woke up to this morning that Draymond Green was going to be suspended for a game. I went through the numbers with Rick earlier on the show. The totals for Draymond: 154 technicals, 19 flagrants, and 15 ejections. Did this surprise you that it came down the way that it did?
Yeah, it was Lisa. It was a little surprising that we got this during the late game last night between the Clippers and the Suns, and news broke then. I think the timing of it was surprising. I'm not necessarily surprised that Draymond got suspended because I look at it this way, and I'll also say this to be clear too. I think that Sabonis should have received a little bit more of a punishment for pulling his leg. I want to say that first, but
Yes.
you can't have a situation, right, Lisa, where you're stomping on somebody's chest. The league's not going to have that. It's not a good look. Did Draymond's past hurt him here in terms of how he was punished severely? Yeah, it did. But this is what happens sometimes. And Draymond has been known for these antics. He's been out of control. Did Sabonis bait him into something?
He did.
Absolutely. He
Mhm.
absolutely baited him. There's no
He
doubt
did.
about
And
that.
by the way, the foot landed on the chest, but the other foot was being held. So you're kind of jumping around to get out to wiggle your ankle free. He baited him 1,000,000%.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that, right? And he's trying to get free, but then if you get free and your foot goes down onto somebody's chest, you just can't have that. Now, look, do we all want to see the best players in a series play? Of course we do.
Always.
We always do, right? We want to see Draymond out there. And look, I'll be honest, I think the Warriors are in trouble without Draymond because I think all of us who watch the sport, we know that Draymond does so much for the team, right? In terms of getting the offense moving, his assists, his rebounding, his defense. And the Warriors defense has not been great this year. Neither is the Kings defense, but this is a tough spot for the Warriors. They have to win at home, and I think they're in trouble, obviously, if they don't get this game 3 against the Kings.
I believe they will get this game 3,
Okay.
Dexter, without Draymond Green. I think it's going to be a struggle, and I don't think they're going to like house them with Draymond Green. I could see a housing coming up here back at Chase Center. The great home court advantage. Sac is the best road team in the West, but maybe you're a little full of yourself after winning the first 2. They are a playoff inexperienced team, so maybe they don't handle prosperity all that well. Like a lot of ifs on that, right? But now, Sac is going to be going for the kill mode, which I thought the Lakers were going to be tonight here, Dexter, without Ja Morant. That has not come to fruition. But bottom line, I think the others are going to play better for Golden State. I think Steph and Clay are going to be on one, and I think they're going to feed off their home crowd like Sac did in games 1 and 2. I like Golden State tomorrow night, even without Draymond Green. So ultimately, who do you think wins that game?
I'm with you, though. I do like the Warriors in this game, too. I think somehow they're going to find the resolve. They're going to make this work. They're going to get it done somehow. I would say look for a big game from Kevon Looney. That's a guy I have my eye on for some rebound props in this game. I'm a props guy, too, Rick.
Good call.
So I think that's a guy to really watch. I think they'll come out motivated. I really do. You're going to need a big game out of Steph. My only concern is, are they able to stop guys like Fox and Monk on the perimeter, which we have not seen thus far through the first 2 games. But if I'm betting on this, I like the Warriors to pull this out. I just think they find a way. I do not see the Warriors going down 3-0 here. And listen, the Warriors win game 3. I think they're definitely also winning game 4. And this thing goes back to Sac 2-2. This is the thing I think we have to remember. A lot of people are jumping on the Sacramento bandwagon. And they've been a nice, cute story. Light the beam and everything. But they haven't been in this spot before, right? They haven't been in this spot before, Rick and Lisa, where they're up 2-0. And what do you do now where you have to go on the road and win? This is a tough spot for Sacramento. Sacramento wins. I'll give them all the credit, but I got to go with the Dubs in game 3 for sure.
Yeah, this is their routine. This is how far they play every season. They're used to going further. They know what it feels like. They're prepared. They're not even as scared as they should be being down 0-2. So that brings me to my next question. We've got 2 teams so far in this first round. We've got the Brooklyn Nets and Golden State. We already talked about Golden State, but does Brooklyn have any life left, or is this really going to be the shortest series of round 1?
Yeah, I think that's going to be the shortest series of round 1. I don't think Brooklyn has anything left. Look, they've thrown the kitchen sink at Joel Embiid, right? They've been very aggressive in how they've double teamed him, and you have to give Embiid credit because there's been some stumbles, but he's made all the passes he can out of it. I just don't think Brooklyn has enough offense. I don't think they have enough defensive answers. And once they double Embiid, they've been vulnerable on the perimeter. And you got to give the Sixers credit. Their role players have knocked down the shots. They've done everything they needed to do. And I don't see that happening. I'd love to see them get a win in game 3. I just don't see it happening. I think the Sixers know this is a series they need to get over quickly. I think they will get it done quickly. And I think this is a 4-game sweep.
Wow. I would agree with that. Brooklyn, they just don't have enough right now. Philly's got 4 badasses: Harris, Maxey, Harden, and of course Embiid. Brooklyn has 2. And are they really badasses? I think Mikal Bridges is, but is Dinwiddie? I can't give him full badass status. I think he's a good player, but they just don't have enough in the series. This is an epic mismatch. Dexter, I want to take you into a conversation that I had with Sam Mitchell today on NBA radio. Apparently, there are a lot of people that are picking the Clippers over the Suns right now. Okay. The Suns won last night to even the series. And I believe they're going to go back to LA and get one and get home court advantage back. And we're probably looking at a 6-game series right now. I thought it was Suns in 5 coming in. All right, LA, you got game 1. You surprised me there, but I think it's a 6-game series. But a lot of people are picking the Clippers right now, Dexter. Are you one of those people? Or are you like, no. Durant and Booker and Paul and Ayton, they will solve this riddle and they will move past the Clippers?
I will say this. I would not sleep on the Clippers. And before the series, I was kind of going with that pick, Suns in 5. I'm watching the Suns, and even though they won game 2, I think one of the issues that kind of doesn't get talked about enough with the Suns is their bench. Monty Williams doesn't even seem to trust his bench. I think they had just over double-digit points off their bench last night. The Clippers bench is better than them. They're deeper than them. Now, are the Clippers the best team they could be when they don't have Paul George? No, not in my opinion. But I'm with you on this, Rick, right? I think this at least goes 6. I see there being another split out there at the Staples Center. Excuse me, I said Staples Crypto now. Sorry, showing my age there. But I think that the Clippers have enough to keep this a series and keep this long. What the Clippers want to do is, can they extend it 6-7? Can they give a chance for Paul George to come back? I don't think he comes back in the first round, but maybe the second round. I think this Clippers team is dangerous for the Suns. I do not think the Suns waltz through this series. I would say the top-end talent plays through in the end. But my big concern is their bench. Do we trust this Suns bench as the competition gets stiffer against other teams? And I don't think Monty Williams right now even trusts them. I mean, just ask yourself, are you trusting Josh Okogie off the bench? They don't have a Cameron Payne right now. There's not a lot of guys you trust, and you're relying on that starting 5 with an old Chris Paul to play a lot of minutes for you. And yes, I think they'll figure it out against the Clippers, but this wouldn't shock me if this series went 7. I'm not going to pick the Clips, but it wouldn't shock me if it went 7.
We're talking to Dexter Henry. You can follow at DHenryTV. All right, I got one more for you. Rick will give you one more before we let you get out of here and continue to watch the games. No Giannis tonight. Does Denver get to take this one with ease at Ball Arena tonight?
So you're talking about Giannis, the Miami, the Heat against the Bucks, or?
I'm so sorry. Yes,
no,
I
no,
completely read this. I'm reading everything wrong right now. Yes. No, let's go to the Minnesota game and let's talk about Denver. Do they have a chance? I've been rooting for them hard all season. Rick's been telling me they had a great run. They held that number 1 spot in the West for the entire season. They did it, but they don't have enough defense, and they're not going to make it out of the first round. Can they make it out of the first round?
Yeah, I think they make it out the first round, Lisa. And you know why? It's because they're playing Minnesota. And I don't believe in Minnesota. I don't take them seriously as a team at all whatsoever, right? But I'm sure in that conversation you and Rick have been having, I understand Rick's trepidation with the Nuggets, right? I think it's one of those things we have to see to believe. And I'm really intrigued more about the Nuggets when they actually get punched in the mouth by a better team, a serious team, not the Wolves, a serious team, right? I think that the Nuggets have all the talent offensively to play with anybody. My concern with them is, can they get stops, right? That's always been my concern with them. They've, Jokic on the floor, who's not known as a great defender. Porter Jr. is a terrible defender, if we're being honest about that there. This team has played soft. Michael Malone has called them out a bunch of times. When they play a really tough opponent, let's say they play the Suns, which they could play in the second round, right?
That would be awful.
Well, yeah, and it's like the Suns can put up points and they can score them in multiple different ways. Can Denver stop them? And that's a series I could see Rick sort of getting excited about in terms of saying, well, I don't believe Denver in that series, and I understand why you wouldn't at all whatsoever. Denver's bench also not that good. Neither is the Suns. But against Minnesota, Lisa, to answer your question, I'm not worried about them against Minnesota. I'll give Minnesota a game, but I think that one ends in 5.
Listen, Denver's kind of like the Sacramento story. Their fans are so excited. It's great to see this happening for them. They're showing up. Guess what? These are fans that have gone to games, even though their teams haven't been good. And that's always something to be excited about, right? Just let them have another round of the series. All right, Rick, one more for you before we let Dexter out of here.
Pardon me. I am completing a tweet right now, tagging at Bettor Network, and it's a tweet / setup for the great Dexter Henry here. Here is the tweet. Okay.
Okay.
Here is the tweet.
Have you sent it yet, Rick?
I just sent it.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead.
Anthony Davis is getting sauteed by Xavier Tillman. You gotta be kidding me. Okay. I'm not making it up. It's not even sarcasm. It's fact. Davis was 1 of 9 at halftime. Xavier Tillman has 2 buckets against Davis here early in the third quarter as they're extending the lead. And kind of sort of working their way towards a blowout of the Lakers without John Morant, Steven Adams, and Brandon Clark. Wow. I am totally blown away here. I mean, I like Xavier Tillman, but this is an Anthony Davis thing, Dexter. Come on, bro. We go in for the kill, man. Don't power down. We're good. We got this. You know, the ebbs and flows of Anthony Davis's motor, man. This is driving me crazy. He's getting sauteed by Xavier freaking Tillman.
The Laker fan is going to say to you, Rick, well, Anthony Davis had 4 blocks in the first half. They're going to say that to you, right? But your point is you're not bringing it on the other end, right? This is a game where you have to show that you were the – and to your point, everything that you just said. No John Morant, no Steven Adams, no
hey, Dexter,
Clark.
Dexter, did Anthony Davis look like a top 5 player in this league in game 1?
Yes, he did.
Where is that guy tonight? Where is he, Dexter?
I don't know. We got him on a milk carton. We're trying to find out where he is. I don't know, right? And look, here's the thing. Here's the thing to your point, Rick. He looked like a top 5 player in that game 1. He has to be the best player on the court in this game. I thought he had to be the best player on the court in every game in this series for the Lakers to win. I think it's fair for you to question him. I think it's fair to question that effort. He has to dominate inside. I know Jaren Jackson Jr., Defensive Player of the Year, definitely earned all of that. But you have to dominate and be the best two-way big on the floor and the best player on the floor, period, in this series, especially with John Morant not being there. It's a missed opportunity for the Lakers if they don't win this game. I know they're down big right now, but you're right. You're right to question it. You're right to be disappointed in his performance. And listen, if he finishes this game with the bad shooting that we're seeing thus far, and as you said, he's out here getting roasted and cooked by Xavier Tillman, that cannot happen. And that's not a good look for AD.
Dexter, where can everybody find all of your work?
Everybody can find all my work. Check me out on the New York Post YouTube channel, also on SNY YouTube channel. A lot of my work is on there. Follow me at DHenryTV. Also listen to me doing updates on WFAN and CBS Sports Radio from time to time. Thank you, guys. I love coming on with you all the time. Always fun, Lisa and Rick. Always fun.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to give the MVP award right now to Rick for your tweeting. You actually used 2 emojis as well, and they were very appropriate for the tweet. That is a big power move. Dexter, I'm always trying to get my friends more active on the socials. The 2 emojis and also the sauteed word spelled with the dash. Well done, Rick Kamla. You brought out the best in both of us, Dexter. Thanks for joining us. And everybody, I'm going to remind you of what the lineup here. You can join us for more great shows and events on Bettor Sports Network. Check out the program schedule on the Bettor Sports Network app and at bettorsports.com. At 9 a.m. every morning, Fantasy Alarm, MLB DFS Playbook with John and Pemba and James Grande. 10 a.m., Moose and Keith with Mark and Keith. 12 p.m., the 5-pack with Kyle Elfrink, featuring a 1988 score pack break. 1 p.m., Quick Outs Fantasy Football with Andrew Cooper and John and Pemba. 2 p.m., the Tour Junkies with David Barnett and Pat Perry. 3 p.m., Fantasy Football Game Show with Front Yard Fantasy. Today's game is Fantasy Fortune, a fantasy football spin on the Wheel of Fortune. 5 p.m., the Fantasy Alarm MLB DFS Playbook live with John and Pemba and James Grande. And then 7 p.m. right here, us, Bettor Sports Live. I am doing my due diligence right now and handling the heaviest of all the reading. That was a long one. I even discussed it with Heavy T on air. I'm like, that's going to take a couple breaths in there. He's like, Lisa, you got this, just like you got the tweeting. Everybody, we're going to get back to you after this break. Thanks so much for being here in the chat. Thanks to our guest tonight. It's been so much fun having these different chats. We'll get back to the scoreboard, Ricky's props, and more. You're listening to Lisa and Rick Kamla right here on Bettor Sports Live on the Bettor Sports Network.
Moose and Keith, weekdays at 10 a.m. Eastern on Bettor Sports Network.
Calvin Ridley yesterday, he applied for reinstatement from the National Football League.
Ridley, Kirk, Zay Jones, Travis Etienne, Trevor Lawrence. That is crazy potent on offense.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. I mean, Ridley's great.
I think Trevor Lawrence is a guy I want in fantasy this year.
I think you're probably right. I think they're just going to get better and better. First off, Peterson's a wonderful offensive mind, a great head coach, and we've seen that and saw that this year as Jacksonville made it to the postseason. And Trevor Lawrence, anybody that questioned whether or not he could play in the National Football League or just how good he was going to be in the NFL, those questions were answered this past season as in the second half of the year. Statistically speaking, he was a top 3 quarterback in the NFL. That's how good Trevor Lawrence is. You throw Calvin Ridley into the mix, he's going to be great. Yeah, I think Lawrence is a guy you want. I think Ridley's a guy you want. Clearly, Travis Etienne is going to be one of those early, first-round selections as well, being the dual threat running back that he is, not only running, but also catching the ball out of the backfield, Keith, and the ability to take something small and take it to the house. Take a 5-yard dump pass, make a guy miss in the open field, and he's gone. I mean, you saw that with Travis Etienne this past season for Jacksonville. Yeah, sky's the limit. I mean, I think you're going to go from a team in the year span where you wanted no part of the Jacksonville Jaguars when you're looking at fantasy football to where you want as many Jaguars as you possibly can because they're going to be really, really productive. And let's see if they get their tight end back as well. Who had
Evan Ingram was great.
And Evan Ingram, who was great this past season.
Yeah. I mean, if they keep that whole core together, their offense is going to be one of the best in football. Like, I legitimately think that they could be one of the best offenses in football.
Zay Jones, Evan Ingram, Christian Kirk, then you throw
Ridley,
Travis Etienne, Trevor Lawrence, a good offensive line, and you've got Doug Peterson being creative calling.
Right?
And you look at that division. The Colts are a mess.
Yep.
Titans
look like they're on the downslide.
Titans are on the downslide, right? That window is clearly closed. And then you got the Houston Texans.
Years away from relevancy.
Yeah.
I mean, Jacksonville could win 11 games next year.
Moose and Keith. Weekdays at 10 a.m. Eastern on Bettor Sports Network.
And we are back right here. Lisa Ann and Rick Kamla, a great round of guests with Thor Nystrom and Dexter Henry. Rick, our friend Brad is hanging around for Australia chat, Aussie Rules footy segment. I watched Aussie Rules, and I'll tell you what, you want to see some monsters out there on the field with no pads in a running, like the field is so huge. It's intense. I don't even think we could I don't even think we could cover it because it's so good.
I mean, I've seen, some games here and there. I don't know when, I don't know where, but those dudes, with the whole rugby scrum and they pitch it and they pitch it and they pitch it and the guy tries to make it around the end. And I think I'm getting the right sport that you're talking about. And then they kick the ball through in a pair of goalposts at some point. It is a sport that I do not understand, but I can tell you one thing. Those are tough guys out there on that gridiron. I can tell you that right now.
Tough guys. Do you know that in Australia, when you're 16, you have a choice to graduate high school if you take a trade or you get right to work. So you can get your full diploma at 16 and join the workforce, or you can stay to go to university.
That's pretty cool.
It's very cool because I think 16 to 18 is kind of a wasted 2 years in school.
You got that right.
You're just wasting time, right? And so it really helps young people, build a little bit of wealth so they could get out of their homes and have their own places. A very independent thinking. But let me just tell you somebody it's not. We've got somebody on Twitter. Twitter's become a very weird place, weirder than ever. This person just asked me on Twitter. I want to know everyone's take in the room. Do you have lodging for me in your house? Call or send a text message, and there's a phone number. His name is Guillermo. Obviously, I'm blocking him as soon as I'm done reading you this message. I'm blocking hundreds of people a day right now because there's so much weirdness on here. But does somebody really think a stranger is going to give lodging and reach out to a phone number that they see on Twitter?
I mean, if they do, that's not a real wise decision. I'm extremely like wary of people right now, LA, and it's nothing to the degree that you have to deal with being as famous as you are, being as you just know the deal. Okay, I don't want to go any farther than that. You always talk about how careful you are, and it's so freaking smart. You know, I don't have to be like that, but still, my trust level for like strangers is at an all-time low. I can tell you right now, LA, driving down here in Florida with these Floridians, I drive defensively. I used to drive like a grandpa. Now I drive like a defensive driving class grandpa. Okay. Literally, I do not enter an intersection without looking like 50 times because these jokers are boom, like a red light, green light. What does that matter? I want to go somewhere at 8,000 miles an hour. These people down here are weird, man.
There's a new series on Netflix. It's like Florida Man or something. I haven't dove into it yet, but Jeff says you got a room for rent, Lisa. Jeff, I don't even think this guy thinks I'm renting a room. I just think he wants housing. And Brad, our friend, says it's a start to a horror movie. It's got like horror movie vibes.
Oh, yeah. Because bad decisions. I'd say what me and Charity talk about this all the time. It ain't a movie without bad decisions. It's not a TV series on Netflix without bad decisions, right? In horror movies, what gets them killed? Bad decisions, LA.
Right. Why does the girl run into the parking garage? You know you don't run into the parking garage. You run out into the middle of the street where there's people. You go to the Sev, like the 7-Eleven. Like you go anywhere. You know, you go anywhere you can. You don't just run into a dark place.
LA, why are you taking a shower on a dark, haunty, rainy, stormy night? Why? Okay. Why are you trying to get out into the woods with your homie and do a little making out and a little feely grabby when it's dark out and what are you doing?
I don't watch scary movies, but when
that's how they all go.
when I have seen them, I always was like, why are you going there?
Yeah, can I ask you a question? Are you watching Beef? Are you watching the show Beef?
So I saw that here. Okay, I was just getting to what's more likely.
Okay, all right.
LA is watching Beef or not is the question. So, my best friend and I talk every Saturday night at 6 p.m. on a FaceTime. We've been doing this for years. And it'll go anywhere to like 10 o'clock at night. We'll have a couple of cocktails. We'll just catch up. And so she's my pre-screener of TV shows to tell me what I can and cannot handle. So she already finished the whole series. She's like, you got to watch this. So I'm like, okay.
For Beef, huh?
Yeah, she loves it. So okay, great. And I love the comedian. She's fantastic. So I know the cast. But then
is it Ali Wong, is that her name? Is
my phone hears me talking about it, and it just so seems that the lead male character is not now caught up in something bad that's newsworthy. He said horrible things on a podcast many years before, but they're not good. And so now I had to learn too much. So I missed my window. Now I can't watch the show.
Okay. I knew nothing about that, and something that one of the characters on the show said. I don't know anything about that. What I know is me and Charity have 2 episodes to go. Okay. And so, I got to watch it at this point and see how the end plays out. But it's starting to go pretty haywire. It's very plot twisty. But I understand your boycott of this. If one of the cast members said something unsavory, maybe if I knew what he said, I wouldn't want to watch the last 2 episodes here. I do not.
I'm not going to ruin it for you. But I went down the rabbit hole, read the articles, and I was like, okay, but now if I talk about it, people are going to be talking to me about that. Now it's moot. But okay, what's more likely? Bryce Young or CJ Stroud will be the first overall pick to Carolina.
So it's Bryce Young, and I'm so heartwarmed, LA, by the fact that, I put a bunch of stuff out into the universe, and lo and behold, here we are through the draft cycle, and it's all coming back to what your boy Cam, what Professor Cam told y'all months and months and months ago. All of this stuff about CJ Stroud and he's going to Carolina, and like we're just following the whims of the reporting, right? I never adjusted my mock draft. The number 1 pick in this draft is Bryce Young, and anybody that doesn't believe that is wrong. I'll just phrase it that way. I wanted to say something stronger. But Carolina would be a franchise that would screw this up, right? Overthink it, take another guy. I know he's short, but folks, Kyler Murray has done pretty well in the NFL, hasn't he? He is the exact same size as Bryce Young. The exact same size. Okay.
Okay, but
so
I
why
don't
can't
want
it
to
work for
use.
Bryce Young?
I don't want to use the Kyler Murray comp. You know why? Because Kyler Murray breaks down by week 10 every single season. So that's not a comp I want to use. When people compare Bryce Young to Kyler Murray, I get very concerned. But then I look at Kyler Murray, his play. I don't look at Kyler Murray as having that same football IQ that we just hear on repeat about Bryce Young, about how he is always paying attention. He's always able to, get out of the way. He is savvy of his element. And so that's something we don't see from Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray starts out every season great. You got to trade him by week 8 because if you don't trade him, guess what? He has no value. So I don't really think that's a fair comp. Also, there seems to be some indifference there. Maybe it's the line. Maybe he doesn't have as much time to set up. We know Carolina has a good defense. We know Carolina has a good line. We know Carolina has built pieces, but I don't know. Kyler Murray, he couldn't even get along with D-Hop.
The problem with Kyler Murray is he won't play at less than 100%, among other things. I mean, there's major maturity issues going on there, but he refuses to play at less than 100%, which drives me crazy, okay? Quarterbacks should be gutting through this stuff. You should be playing through broken bones, torn groin muscles. I don't care. You're a quarterback. It's your job to play. If you can walk, you can play. Would you rather have Kyler Murray at 75% or Colt McCoy? Hello. So it's not obviously an overall comp. It's just a body size comp. And here's the thing, LA. Sports is changing, man. Guys are playing longer than they've ever played before.
Sure. Quarterbacks aren't getting hit as much as they used to get hit. Quarterbacks are way more protected in the league. There's no doubt about that as well. I don't think his success level should be kind of judged on just his size. But at the same time, I can't comp him to Kyler Murray. Let me move on to this one. What's more likely? Joe Mixon will be cut by the Bengals or he'll be back in 2023?
So the report is that the Bengals want him to take a pay cut. Otherwise, they're going to cut him. And I wanted us to get into this. He's not listening, okay? But he should be. I just want to tell Joe Mixon's a really good football player, a really good fantasy football player.
Yeah.
If he goes into the running back abyss, it is going to be the end of his career. He needs to take whatever pay cut the Bengals have for him, just like Zeke Elliott needed to take whatever pay cut that the Cowboys had for him to stay there, okay? Because has anybody else fired up the Zeke Elliott conversation? No. By the way, the Lakers are running and gunning, and we now have a 6-point game. Giddy up. Here we go. The Grizzlies are in a scoring draw. 3 points. Wow. Over a 6+ minute stretch as JJJ gets fouled and he'll go to the free throw line trying to bring me back on that prop bet.
He makes 1 of 2, by the way. I'm ahead of you on my timer here.
Oh, look at you. Look at you.
I got the stats faster than you got the game because the live game's on delay and the stats are quicker. It's by about 1 minute, 30 seconds.
I understand. JJJ's got a long way to go here. Hits the first free throw. He's up to 8 points. We got to get to, I believe, 23 to make 22 and a half.
You do truly believe that Mixon could be cut?
I do believe he could be cut if he gets cute with the team. He's got to go with their flow and keep this gig, okay? Because everybody's already got a running back. And the teams that don't have a running back are probably starting to look at Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, and guys like that. And Mixon is a little bit older now. He's not old, but he's not a young guy. So that's already strike 1. He's got the off-the-field baggage, and there's a lot of it. Okay, that's strike 2. And if he denies what the Bengals have for him, that he's going to be looked at as a little bit of a malcontent, that is strike 3.
He is 26 years old, by the way.
Yep. So, which means he's not 23. You know what I'm saying? And he's a relatively big ticket item at a running back position that folks don't want to pay in the NFL. So, if he gets cute, he'll be bounced, and I'm not sure. He'll probably find a home, but I don't know where. And he's not going to have the same role that he had in Cincinnati. So, I would highly encourage him to take with Cincinnati. Whatever bag they have for you, go ahead and grab it.
Yeah, especially the fact that they're not threatening or putting him in a situation where he feels he has to make the decision because of all of his legal woes, because he just pleaded not guilty to his latest menacing charge as an adult. when you get charged with menacing, you know what I mean? Like, it's such a child word to me. Like,
Yeah, what are we
you're
doing
such
here?
a menace. What are we doing? Like, at a certain age, you're like, I can't be menacing. You know what I mean? I can't be menacing.
You got to outgrow menacing, don't you, at some point?
You obviously have to outgrow menacing, and especially when you're making a shit ton of money. Why do you want to menace anymore? You know what I mean? All the goodies you could have in your house, Rick. You could have a beautiful gym. You could have a putting range if you wanted to. Like, you know what I mean? Like
a bowling alley, whatever you want.
Bowling alley's great.
Pool in the basement, okay, do it.
Whatever you want to do, you can do. But I am going to make the list for you, and nowhere on that list is menacing.
There's no question about it. Bullies are menacing. Okay, that's no, you can't do the menacing thing. I don't know what Joe Mixon did or didn't do. Okay, I know his career is at a crossroads here. If I had him in any dynasty leagues, I would be pacing the floors, wondering what is going on here. I could have a guy that has 1,300 yards and 12 touchdowns, or I could have a guy that literally gives me nothing. It could be, and somewhere in between there as well. But he's just got to take. I have Bijan Robinson going to the Bengals at the end of the first round because of the Joe Mixon drama. So, I think they may be ready for a new running back. And why did the game just go out on me here? Sorry, I banged my computer.
Okay, one more thing then. We're going to do one more NFL what's more likely. And then I'd like everybody in this room, including Heavy T on air, to get out their DraftKings lineup. Let's see how we're doing so far, because I'll tell you what, it was not easy peasy for me to put together an MLB lineup. Not easy. I'm so deep in NBA. You know what I mean? I'm so deep. And I'm also doing a lot of draft prep. So like, I'm just so deep in both things that I'm like, okay, I think I got this. The last one here. What's more likely? The Niners quarterback will be Purdy, Lance, or Darnold. And I think today, hearing the news that they are taking calls for Lance defines this a bit more.
Yeah, and so the report on Lance and the Niners talk and trade about him, it was reported, I believe, by Ian Rappaport that they have not initiated these talks. People are calling them, and they are answering the phone and listening. Okay, this does not mean that Trey Lance will be on another team. In fact, all San Fran and John Lynch is doing is their jobs. Okay, if they don't pick up the phone, then that's GM malpractice. You got to hear what somebody's gonna offer you, but they can't trade Trey Lance. They have too much invested in him. Yeah. He hasn't done enough to increase his stock to get that back in a possible trade. You have Brock Purdy, and this is speculation, LA, that we talked about. I told you, Brock Purdy ain't playing football in 2023 because the reports were, oh, well, it's only going to be 6 months. I'm like, from Tommy John surgery? No, what the hell it is.
Okay, so it was a little bit different than a Tommy John. I actually just listened to a doctor do a breakdown on this 2 weeks ago. So it's really about half the timetable because it's half the work. It's half the surgery. It's not everything that they would do for the mechanics. And because of a different use of the arm, remember, Tommy John for pitcher, the reason they can't go out there and wind up until like 13 to 15 months is because the amount of strain that they're actually putting on that arm, and that it's not prepared for that. Whereas the throwing of the football is different and the surgery is different. Though he might not be ready for camp, he might not even be ready for preseason. That's where I think Sam Darnold steps in. But I think Trey Lance in Nashville is a very interesting conversation.
I mean, agreed, but, you've got Tannehill, you've got Malik Willis. So what are you doing? Are you sending – San Fran doesn't want Ryan Tannehill, obviously. So you're sending Malik Willis out to San Fran? I don't know. It seems far-fetched to me. I do understand Tennessee's need for Trey Lance, LA. I totally get that. But, do they have the draft compensation and all that to send out there? The bottom line is this. Great intel on Brock Purdy right there. Let's say Brock Purdy comes back and he's ready to go in early October. Okay, let's just say that. And let's also say that Trey Lance is under center for the Niners, putting up really good stats.
Can we also say that I know I have very limited minutes left and that everyone is going to catch up on me, but I'm 24th out of 167 in the MLB DFS challenge. The reason I want to bring it up to you right now, even though I want to go further with this conversation, I know I'm going to be 50th in about 3 minutes because I'm going to be used up of all my minutes. So I was kind of, wanting to sing my own praises before my lineup is dead. Okay. So let me tell you, so many horrible things are happening but I still have very little minutes left. Where are you right now in this challenge? And Tyler, where are you?
I am not doing well, apparently. Apparently, I've got 15 minutes left. I've got 30.85 points. It was a tough slate here with the night games, but it is what it is. I did not pick the right guys. I had Joe Ryan and Brito as my pitchers. I had Rutschman. He's got 4 points for me. I got a lot of bagels out here. And this has not gone well for your boy. We still got time left. A lot of these games are in the 6th and 7th inning, but so far, no good.
All right, I played Kluber, who's gotten me minus 0.75 points. I don't know how you could take points away from me that I didn't even give you. Like, yeah, you're taking 75 cents from me right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, how could he be minus points? But he's minus me now. I played Canning, got me 11.80. McCann 5. Otani with a donut. DJ LeMahieu with a donut. Anthony Rendon, 5 points. Volpe, because I hear Howard Bender talking about him all the time, 17 points. Aaron Judge, 18 points. Mike Trout, only 6 points. And Hernandez for 17 points. My total score right now is 79.05. I'd like to screen grab this because in about 10 minutes, I will be in like 75th league. Did get a lot of signups on this one. I got to give everybody a lot of credit. Shows me that everyone wants to be playing a little MLB. We had 167 people in the 200 player challenge. In the NBA challenge, we filled the entire thing. 200 players. I'm at 68th right now. Where are you, Rick Kamla?
59th in our NBA game out of 200. What do we have going here so far?
How many minutes you got left?
251 minutes.
I got 260 and I'm 68. That doesn't give me a lot of love right there.
So there you go. We're close here. I had a LeBron vibe, obviously, with the prop bet that we played, and he's looking pretty good on that so far. Went with Bobby Portis. I got a fireball on him early on in the Milwaukee-Miami game. Just thinking maybe Giannis was out, and Giannis ended up being out. Reeves is having a pretty good game for me. I got Bruce Brown later on, and Schroeder's having a nice cold game for me. That doesn't look or feel good, but I'm hanging in there. 63rd now, but we're hanging in there.
I love we both played Bruce Brown right down there. Hasn't started yet. D'Angelo Russell giving me frostbite. I never like to see a snowflake. Get 10 points. I went with Reeves as well. 19.25. I played Hachimura. He was only 4,500. He was 38% owned, and I already got 28.25 and a nice little flamey flame above this. And I played Bobby Portis as well, and I thought Drew Holiday would have a better game. Kind of lagging, but 11 points. And later on, I've got Porter Jr. going, so 85.75. But does show me how nice our followers are that they jump right in these challenges with us. I do love that.
It's amazing. I love it when you put these challenges out. I was outside by the pool earlier today, LA, and set my lineups and got everything going.
Look at you.
Gotta work
nice.
gotta work on the tan a little bit. I like to, and by the way, I got to get out. It is healthy, but I got to get outside. Like I'm inside working on the NBA show, and then here, obviously being blessed to be here with you. But I had to get outside and give Mother Nature to kiss me a little bit earlier today. So we shall see. We got a big time fourth quarter coming up here, though, in the LA and Memphis game. And we'll see if the Lakers got a big comeback in them, man. Let's see. They'll go to the scoreboard here in a minute. I believe it's 11 or 12 that Memphis is up, which certainly is doable in comeback fashion.
They're only up 10 right now in my time. It's 83-73, the Grizz over the Lakers, and the Bucks 27-19 over the Heat. So 10-point spread right now. They're keeping the distance right here. The Lakers are clawing back, and then Grizz are just putting more points up. But it looks like the defense has gotten better, definitely in the second half because of the scoring. But let me tell you, before we get to a quick break, I want to ask you. So, tomorrow's 420, which is a real holiday. I hope everybody knows it is a real holiday. A lot of celebrations going on all over the world. I'll be flying, but only a short flight. I woke up to my first class upgrade. Nothing makes me happier. But tomorrow is also the day that all of the people that worked so hard many years ago to get verified are going to lose their blue badge unless they've subscribed to Twitter Blue. So, Rick, I have to ask you, are you a Twitter Blue subscriber?
I'm not, but I might be. What would be your advice to me? Because I've got 40,000 followers. Pretty proud of that. I've had the blue dot. It used to be NBA TV Rick, so I changed my name after they let me go. My agent had to go through Twitter to keep my blue dot.
Sure, which is difficult. You can't just,
And so it's a thing. I worked hard for it. I worked hard for the followers. I don't want to lose a bunch of followers because I don't have the blue dot. I also think it sucks that Elon Musk is this greedy, but hello, welcome to 2023 with big time billionaires. This is what they do. You tell me, should I spend the money on the blue dot or should I put up a middle finger to Elon Musk?
I think you have to spend the money on the blue dot, and here's how I can justify it. Social media has been a free tool for us for as many years as it's been handed to us, right? So with that free tool, we never had to pay to be verified. We never had to pay for any of these things. So think about all of the years where you've been using it without paying for Twitter Blue. What really sucks is now Meta has stepped out and said they're going to do the same thing. So I'm verified on Facebook and Instagram. Instagram was really difficult. Facebook I paid for, which was at that time like $1,500. And so of course I'm going to sign up. I've been paying for Twitter Blue since December because one morning Elon Musk came out and said, hey, you know what? If you're not a subscriber, you're not going to catch your blue check mark. And I ended up recording about 4 episodes of my podcast. I remember I didn't look back down at my phone for hours, but after he said that, I went into panic mode. I reached out to my team. I'm like, I'm paying for it. I just have to because I can't lose it. It's going to be too hard to fight all the imposters. By the time I got done recording, he came out and took it back. I'm not going to do that right now, but I'll probably do it in the future. I just thought to myself, like, I'm paying for this just because it does give you more features as well. You're able to edit tweets. So if you send out a tweet with a misspelled word, instead of having to delete the tweet, you can actually go back for 30 minutes and edit the tweet. So that's kind of handy. There are some other features that come with it that are kind of cool, but this is where we're at. We're going to have to pay for it for a period of time. Again, I'm on the true belief system that by this time next year, we'll have something other than Twitter, and Twitter will be non-existent. And so we're going to be paying for it for what, a year? And we've had it for free since however long I've been on, since like 2009. Like, it is what it is, but it does make a difference in people, especially us. What you're with NBA radio, like all the things that you're putting out there, you're not just a regular dude. The crazy thing is now when you see people are verified, you can go in and they have like 35 followers. So now you have to double check any verified news. Like if you see a sports article come out, you can't just retweet it because it's from a verified account because anybody can sign up for Twitter Blue. So with that said, it does make a little bit more homework in whether you're going to share media or not share media.
How do I subscribe? How do I do that?
So you're gonna see an option. You know what? I'll shoot I'll shoot a little video for you. It should be pretty easy. I remember I just went into Twitter and it gave me the option. Let's see. You're gonna go into settings. You're gonna go into settings and it's gonna have a drop down bar and it's gonna say Twitter Blue, Creator Studio, Professional Tools. You're gonna click on Twitter Blue and you're gonna pay for it. And I think it's easier. I'm not remembering which. I think it was easier from the web platform as opposed to the app, but now it's probably easy on both because he wants everybody to sign up. But Heavy T reminded me of that just now. He said, speaking of Twitter, I believe all the verification check marks goes. So tomorrow is going to be 420 and people are going to not know this is happening. And they're going to think it's just because it's 420 that they're not seeing blue checks when really it's real. So that's that. We're going to get back after this break. We're going to touch on Ricky's props. We're going to continue to chat with all of you in the chat. And Rick, I will help you set up for Twitter Blue because I think you should protect your little blue birdie there. You're listening to Lisa Ann and Rick Kamla on Bettor Sports Live on the Bettor Sports Network.
Moose and Keith. Weekdays at 10 a.m. Eastern.
The word genius is there. Bob Glover, it describes him. Bob, so when's the last time that Twitter defeated you? Because I've been defeated by Twitter today.
I'll tell you how Twitter defeated me one time. I had the mistaken impression that the year that Troy Polamalu won the Defensive Player of the Year, it looked like it was going to go to Clay Matthews Jr. and I tweeted it. And there was a guy on the media bus. He was like, oh, yeah, he's got it, a guy I trust. I won't tell you who it was, but his initials are Mike Garafolo. So I went with it, got a DM from Rich Eisen, NFL Network. He goes, you sure about that? I go, oh, man. Oh, I just got this wave because like accuracy to me is really important. So I'm literally on the media bus. We're just getting back from media day. We are slipping and sliding in Dallas. It's snowing. I get off the bus. I open my laptop. I am hunched over. And I just like literally people are passing me. Bob, what's wrong? And it was Palomalu and Adam Schefter had retweeted me. Trey Wingo had retweeted me. I'm like, oh, I'm dead.
So when it's Palomalu, then how do you handle that? Like, what was the subsequent tweet
I think
afterwards?
I said, got some bad Twitter info. I didn't put Garafalo's name on there. I had to
10 years later, you can out him. I like that. Yeah.
You know, he wouldn't mind that. He knows the stories.
Yeah.
He actually said to me, hey, Bob, I think you might have jumped the gun on that. I was like, oh, crap. There we go.
Campus to Canton on the Bettor Sports Network.
Would Dion bench Shedeur?
I don't think he would.
Like, how bad would it have to be? Because we've seen horrendous quarterback play from this Colorado team for the last, 5 years? JT Shroud, Brandon Lewis, just terrible quarterback play. Like, they were 131st, which is dead last in pass EPA per play. Obviously, it will be better, but how bad does it have to be for him to bench his own son? Like, I'm not sure he will ever either, like, especially with the attitude that he came in with.
If they don't get Rashada, who do they bench him for this year anyway? I don't know that there's another answer on that roster that you go to. They don't really have a guy behind him. So I don't even know if we would know the answer to that until the next year, assuming that, he doesn't declare for the draft, he returns, they bring somebody else that's competent and behind him.
If they're going to do this the Lincoln Riley way, next year would be the class to bring somebody in. Shedeur Sanders is going to be a third-year player. So he's going to play 2023. I don't think he's declaring for the 2024 NFL draft. So he's going to play in 2024 and then declare for the 2025 NFL draft. And let's remember this. He hasn't had a full recruiting cycle at Colorado. He will have that next recruiting cycle. So maybe he could get one of these class of 2024 quarterbacks there to come to Colorado.
However you're invested in sports, from betting to fantasy, collectibles, and more, join our community on Bettor Sports Network.
We are back. Lisa Ann and Rick Kamla right here on Bettor Sports Live. And Rick, I just made your life super easy. I went into the news. I found the story on Twitter verified, and I retweeted it, and it has a link. So all you're going to do is click that link. So tomorrow, 4/20, we're removing legacy verified checkmarks. To remain verified on Twitter, individuals can sign up for Twitter Blue here. Organizations can sign up for verified organizations here. So there's two different ones that should help you out a lot in this situation.
Well, thank you for that. So did you send me a email or
no?
text?
I retweeted it. I retweeted. Okay. So you'll just have to go into my timeline after the show, click that link, and there we are. And you'll have it easy.
Done deal. I appreciate that. I don't want to do it. I'm usually a rebel with this kind of stuff.
It's not worth it. This is not. And I've had this conversation.
And I trust you. You're telling me to do it. All right. It's good advice from my homie Lisa Ann, man.
But look at this way. We haven't paid for this for all these years. I am definitely a person that wants to go against the grain as well in all normal situations. But in business situations, no, I will play the game. And in December, when I paid for it and then he took it back and then I went back to my team, I'm like, in one day I was busy and didn't check my phone. He took it back. They're like, do you want to cancel it? I'm like, no, I'm even more afraid to cancel it now. And I said, I can justify this. But at the end of the day, by the time we pay for Twitter and Meta and everything else, social media is going to probably be costing us between $50 and $100 a month. And that really is somewhat reasonable compared to the fact that we didn't pay for anything for so many years.
You make a great point with, I've been on Twitter since 2009 and I haven't spent a dime since 2009.
But it made you money. It made you money.
And that's 14 years.
It got your name. Yep. It helped you in business, right? It was something we had to have, right? We had to go through it. We had to do it. So that's the way I'm explaining it to people to make everybody understand. Like, it's not fun. None of us like spending money we don't want to spend, but at the same time, it is a tool that we use. And while it's here, we should keep things status quo. I want to keep the blue check mark.
Now, when you were talking about 420, I thought you were going to hit me with like puff, puff, pass or something like that. I had
This
no
is
idea
the most puff,
that
puff,
this was about
pass
the blue dot.
Elon Musk thing ever. Because if you remember, Elon puff, puff, pass with Joe Rogan on a podcast, his stock plummeted and his board called a meeting. Okay. So there's that. So I think it's ironically
Did not
funny.
know that.
Yes, ironically funny. The world remembers that. It went upside down. It's the greatest meme ever. Everybody always shares it. This isn't pleasant what Elon is doing. Twitter has turned into the biggest cesspool I could ever imagine. But let's get to something that isn't. Grizz are still taking down the Lakers. The score that I have right now, 7:25 left in the fourth quarter. I'm going to refresh one more time, but I'm seeing 89-77. 89-77. So it looks like Grizz are taking this game. I get that 7 minutes is a lot, but let's look at this box score. Let's see how you're feeling about your LeBron James segment in your Ricky's props.
Feeling good about LeBron. I think we're going to cash a couple of tickets here. We had the over on 26.5 as Rui Hachimura misses a big shot right there for LA. They're all big right now for them. He's at 22 points. We need 5 more. We've got 7 minutes to go. I mean, it's not a layup, but I like our chances. He's at 9 rebounds, who are 31 with the points and rebounds. We got to get to 36 to clear the 35.5. So we're on pace with LeBron James. I would definitely rather be on the over than the under as he sits statistically right now.
And look, if it wasn't for LeBron and Hachimura, there'd be nothing going up on the board. We've got 8 from Anthony Davis. Vanderbilt's put up 8. D'Angelo Russell's still with the same 3 points he had when he only had played 13 minutes, and he's been out there 24 minutes. D'Lo and didn't like the pillows at the hotel in Memphis. Like, what's going on, buddy? Reeves, you were right. Cooled down a bit tonight with 9 points, but it's all about. Did you say that you played Schroeder in the DFS challenge?
I did, yeah.
You got a
and
donut.
it was a total like late.
Price
I don't
thing.
have any money left dice roll, right?
I knew it.
Yeah, he was it wasn't like, oh my God, I got to have Dennis Schroeder tonight. But he's had some like big spike games. And so it was kind of one of those like, all right, I got this much money. I don't like any of the options. Austin Reeves bangs a big 3. Lakers down 9, set up by D'Lo right there. But yeah, that was a punt play for sure from Dennis Schroeder. I was not expecting much.
You had a second prop here that I think you're probably feeling pretty good about. That's Jared Jackson Jr. over 22.5 points right now. Oh, you might not be, but I mean, there's enough time. He's at 16 right now.
Still alive. I believe he had nothing in the first quarter. By the way, Xavier Tillman just hit Anthony Davis with another paint bucket, sauteing Anthony Davis. Here's D'Lo missing a short shot, got his own rebound. The D'Lo, Anthony Davis scored. He scored. He put the orange ball through the orange cylinder. Oh my God, he actually scored. No, pardon me. I'm wrong. It was D'Angelo Russell. All of that hype and hysteria.
Back to Jared Jackson Jr. Back to Jared Jackson Jr. Do you think you're going to get this one? 22.5 total points. Right now, he's at 16.
I'd rather be on the under here than the over, but I'm a keep hope alive, glass half full type of dude. So hopefully we can get it here. But he needs like a couple of his patented trail threes. Where he kind of leans in and falls over the 3-point line. We need a couple of those bad boys to get this number here, LA.
Our friend Brad in Australia had AD over alternate points at 19.5, and that's the only one that won't cash. That won't cash. He's got 8, but D'Lo just got 2 points and now is up to 5. I know it's early in this next game, but let's look at it anyway. We're looking at the Bucks over the Heat. 51-39 right now, and you had some props for our friend Jimmy Butler.
We did, but LA, they're off the board because those were plays with Giannis Antetokounmpo. You know what I'm saying? Because I thought it was going to be a blowout with Giannis playing, and don't be mad at me, betting public here, because what I found out about DraftKings is if you want to find out who's playing in a game and who's not playing in a game, go to DraftKings and see what the odds they have, because they don't put up odds for dudes that are questionable. All right. They put up odds for Giannis Antetokounmpo. Okay. That's how shocking this is that he didn't play. They did not have odds up for Ja Morant. Okay. And because of that, they didn't even have odds up for Tyus Jones, his backup. Okay. Kevin Love was questionable tonight, LA, and I wanted to play the under on him. They did not have a lineup for Kevin Love. Why? Because he was questionable. But they had a lineup for Giannis Antetokounmpo, which told me, okay, he's questionable. They upgraded him day of game on the injury report. He's playing tonight. And then he doesn't play. This has bamboozled all of us. So the Jimmy Butler play, like I said, LA, it was born of an ATS take, of a point spread take, that the Bucks are going to smash the Heat tonight. And so then that's going to minimize Jimmy Butler because of blowout. You don't play as many minutes. So now that Giannis is out, that's not a play for me.
Bettor Boss said the world would be better without Twitter. Where are all the sports conversations going to go? They're going to go to the Stunt app. Bettor Boss. We learned all about it at the FSGA. Stunt app is pretty cool. It's just like a Twitter feed, Rick, but it's only sports conversations. There's already a ton. Michael Irvin was there promoting the app. There's just all the greatest beat reporters and writers are already putting their content up there. You should sign up for a spot on it. I got my spot and my name. It's pretty cool. It looks just like a Twitter feed, and it's eventually going to be a place where people could also sell their articles and do other things. They actually pitched it to us as an OnlyFans for the sports business. I thought that was a great sell.
Interesting.
Great sell.
So I should get busy on the Stunt app.
You
and
should get
start
busy on the
building up
Stunt
my
app.
following on a great boss told me one time. I said, give me some general advice here. He said, take your brand into different spaces. And I will never forget that advice. And I have done that, and it has worked very well. That man is Lenny Daniels, executive with Turner Sports, and one of the smartest dudes in sports media. So take your brand into different spaces. So the Stunt app, you say?
Yes, the Stunt app is going to be the thing. You got to check it out. I'm already on there. Let's touch on a couple MLB news and notes before we get out of here. The Rays starting pitcher Jeffrey Springs to undergo Tommy John surgery, done for the rest of the season. Did you have him in any of your 822 leagues?
It's 10, and yes, I had him on one of my teams. He's been pitching very well this year. It's a major hit to the Tampa Bay Rays. The Glass now is out of the rotation right now. They brought up Taj Bradley, their top prospect, and so they've had to kind of go to the well here with these two guys being out. It's a major buzzkill, LA. And look, I'm already not feeling Tampa Bay. They got a 13-0 record to start the season. Good for them. They played like the A's, the Tigers, the Nationals, like nothing but ass-rotten teams. And so now that they've been playing legitimate teams, they're either 500 or below 500 in those games after that 13-game stretch. I don't believe in the Tampa Bay Rays, LA. I don't like the way they run their team. I think that, they have all these platoons with all of these players, and it's not necessarily just to take advantage of right-handed hitter versus left-handed pitcher and this kind of thing. They're trying to keep salaries down for their players. Okay?
Yep.
They don't want to give a guy 500 ABs where he can hit 33 dingers with 90 RBI, and then you got to pay that dude. They'd rather have him languish around at 18 homers and 71 RBI and, just kind of numbers. And so the Rays are, I like a Rosarena. Trust me, I got a Rosarena on a bunch of my teams because there's a few of their guys that they play every single game. But like Harold Ramirez, he's in a platoon. He's kicking ass, but I ain't going there. Margot.
All right, let's move off the Rays
and
and go to the Yankees and touch on some of these other news and notes before we head out of here. I know we want to go on to the Tampa Bay tangent, but I want to talk about Giancarlo Stanton. I just got myself some sweet tickets to go see the Yankees, bringing my friend who's never been to a professional baseball game. And it looks like by the time we go to that game, Yankees outfielder Giancarlo Stanton will still be out because he's going to be out 6 weeks with a hamstring. I think it's wild that you could put such a timeline when a hamstring could be way longer than 6 weeks. But I feel like if they're putting a 6-week timeline on it, they're saying that's the minimum, right?
Literally, I would not take Stanton with the last pick in my draft.
Oh, you have problems with him?
Big time problems with him. I think he's one of the most overrated players in sports, regardless of sport. You can go to gymnastics, you can go to bowling, you can go to damn cornhole, okay? Not a Giancarlo Stanton guy. He's been having a good year too, but it's always something with this dude. It's either a long slump where he can't hit anything and nothing but strikeouts, or it's an injury. It's missing a chunk here and there. We've grown accustomed to this by now. I went on a rant about him on Mad Dog Sports Radio a few years ago, calling him soft and all this kind of stuff. the people were calling me up. You're so wrong. He's so good. Blah, 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 blah. Yankee fans, right? You can't tell them nothing. Your guy is soft, okay? Giancarlo Stanton, as rocked up and Herculean as he looks, is soft. He is soft, man. It's
Clayton Kershaw secures his 200th career win over my New York Mets. And let's talk about Max Scherzer. He gets ejected from today's game against the Dodgers for a sticky substance on his glove. How do you feel about this? We knew this was going to start to come up again at this time of the season. Do you think players are still trying to get away with this?
He had rosin. It was a very hot day, and he wanted rosin to kind of gum up his hands a little bit. And you tell me there's so many rules in baseball, I've just stopped trying to really learn them all and figure them all out. That's where I'm at. I'm disenfranchised. I'm playing fantasy. I'm watching games. LeBron James, a short bucket, 6-point game, 3:45 to go. Just saying.
But it just surprises me when they watched how many players got checked last season. And even rosin is against the MLB protocol, correct?
Again, Matt Deutsch, I don't, LA, honestly, I know this is going to sound weird. We're on a sports platform. I don't care. There's too many rules. It's too complicated. I am not going to dig down every single rabbit hole to find all of these out. Okay. I'm not. So I'm in rebellion mode on this.
How about this one? MLB is testing new rules in the Atlantic League, a designated runner and a removal of DH.
I mean, I don't like, are you trying to bait me like DeMontis Sabonis baited Draymond Green in game 2?
No, I'm just trying
to bait me?
trying to use a short snippet of time for MLB. I mean, listen, Brad is worried that you're going to get your stunt post mixed up with your OnlyFans post.
If only I could have an OnlyFans. I mean, my God. Can you imagine me like sprawled out on the bed all sexy? I mean, come on, man. Like, I don't,
Look, you could do other things on OnlyFans. There's chefs on OnlyFans. There's all kinds of other things on OnlyFans. So, there are other opportunities, but I did like that he went there, and I appreciated that he went there. I agree. There's a ton of rules in MLB, but of course, when you go to see any game, you want to watch all the players that you know of that play so well, right? We are going to have great seats. Hopefully, you're always fingers crossed on the weather. But yep, going to an Yankees game the first week in May. And last but not least here, starting pitcher Hunter Green signs a 6-year, $53 million extension with the Reds.
Okay, you said 6 and 53?
Yep.
Apparently Alex Anthopoulos is gone and he's running the Reds now. Hunter Green should not have signed this contract. This is super low dough for a guy with Cy Young upside and 20, 25, $30 million per year upside. He took the quick money grab, and I get it. He's got security now, guaranteed money. I would not have recommended he sign this contract. This is a really, really team-friendly contract. Look, I've got Hunter Green on almost every one of my Dynasty League teams, maybe all of them. I don't really keep track of it that way. I can tell you this. I am heavily invested in Hunter Green, heavily invested. And I think he's going to have a marvelous career. He's gotten off to a little bit of a slow start this year, but I think he's going to get it cooking and start rolling and just mowing people down.
I'm doing the math right now on what that comes out to be. I mean, it doesn't sound like a lot of money with the money that we talk about in other sports. So comes out to be, can that be right? Okay. Let me just see here. It's not a lot of money. I mean, it's not a lot of money. No, it's not a lot of money.
It's not a lot of money.
It's not a lot of money. I mean, it's a lot of money, but it's not a lot of money when it comes to MLB.
LA, just quick. You've got journeyman starting pitchers who basically are just north of sucking, making $11, $12, $13 million a year, typically in 1 year engagements. And so based on what's Green making, $7 million a year, $6 million a year? Like, it ain't right, man. It ain't right.
So we got this NBA situation going on. We've got 3 games tonight, 3 games tomorrow. This is a series. Now this is a tough time to be traveling because I know I'm going to miss some games at night. I have set up my iPad so I can sling my cable box from home to my iPad and I can actually get into my DVR. So I can have the games recorded at home and then be able to watch them and fast forward the commercials on my iPad. So I did work on that today. That was a task that I went onto YouTube, looked up a couple of videos, looked at all of this because I used to be able to do it with DirecTV and I couldn't figure out how. I've never done it here. But then I'm like, this is the playoffs. Like, I can't just willy-nilly it. So I'm pretty stoked. And then I won't be like in a hotel with nothing to watch. I could set the iPad up, watch yesterday's game while I'm getting ready. Like, it's so convenient.
Yeah, that's cool. I have fun in Chicago, LA.
I will.
And you will. That's a cool setup. To be able to sort of take DVR with you. Obviously, my tech is nowhere near that dialed in. But we'll be holding it down here at home. Milwaukee is thrashing Miami tonight, predictably 62-41. Man, even without Giannis. So apparently, Coach Bud played his cards right here. Holding out Giannis for whatever reason. They're kicking Miami's butt anyway. And so it's weird. Giannis being out of this game when we all thought he was going to play, but it's working out for Milwaukee in the long run here.
There's 2 minutes and 9 seconds left in the fourth quarter of the Lakers-Grizz game. My concern is this. We've only got 5 minutes left on this show. We know what 2 minutes in a sporting event can be. It can be 10 minutes, maybe 20. So we may not see this come to a close. We may not see this come to a close on this show. I would like to say this is a shock without Ja, but I heard quite a few people talk about the fact that the Grizz have played well without him, what he was missing for those games. We need to take that little bit of time off, and they're really showing the Lakers what they got, and I think a lot of the Lakers players are just having an off performance tonight. It's only game 2.
They are. I mean, D'Angelo Russell's been dreadful. Anthony Davis has been dreadful. And these are their second and third best players. Obviously, Davis being that second best guy. Reeves, I thought he was going to get free throws. I guess that was not a shooting foul right there. But Davis in this game, a yucky 10 points and 8 rebounds on 3 of 13. But LeBron James has 26 points and 11 rebounds. He has hit the over on our combo prop of 35.5 points and boards. We got to get one more point from LeBron James here to hit the over on his points. And so we're close here. We're close to cashing.
One more point from LeBron. He can definitely do this. There's no doubt about it. Now, when we're done with the show, I've got a pack tonight. Do you like to listen to games on the radio?
No, I don't because, no.
I do. And I love that you can listen to the home or away team. So that I could be moving around and I don't get distracted and stare at the TV and then run behind getting my stuff together. I will be putting in the earbuds and I will be listening to these games. I'd like to thank our guest, Thor Nystrom, who you can follow at ThorKU, Dexter Henry, who you can follow at DHenryTV, and all of you in the chat. We made a new friend in Australia. Fantastic. Brad, great to have you here. Brad liked the fact that once we found out you just hit the over. LeBron just scored.
Let's go. I was celebrating over here. He got a little put back. They're going to lose tonight, but LeBron hit the over on both of his props, so I'm feeling good about that. Let's go.
Brad liked the fact that once we realized he was from Australia, we got a little 5-minute conversation going about Australia. It is a beautiful country. And we just appreciate that we can connect with the world being on a platform like this. Like, that's pretty fascinating when you think about the fact that we are in real time connecting with somebody on the other side of the globe.
It's I heard a lot. I was big in the Philippines back when I was on NBA TV. Like, what's a random spot? What's a random spot that you're big in, LA?
Really anywhere. I mean, it's always bizarre when I go,
LA, anywhere, man.
Like, I'm going to Athens in June because I'm very popular in Athens right now.
That's awesome.
So I'm going to Athens. Last year, Switzerland, like all over. It is really cool, especially when you go somewhere as far as Australia and there's no language barrier. I'm over here trying to learn a little bit of Greek right now so I can have my conversations. I learned just enough of every language to be able to greet people properly, ask for important things like the train station, the bathroom, the hospital, policia, like all of those things are important to know when you travel abroad. But for all of you that have been in the chat, this has been fantastic. We will be back with you next Wednesday night. And next week, Bettor Sports Network is going to have some fun NFL draft action for you. So Thursday, Friday, be ready to chime in. We'll be streaming back on the app as well because we know that your TV may be taken by your watching the draft. I know a lot of people sling YouTube on the TV. I watch YouTube on my television. So we know people do this. So now we're going to make it easy for you next week. We've got the NFL draft coming. And then after that, we know we're going to start doing some best ball drafts. We know we're going to start preparing for fantasy football. We know Bettor Boss is probably going to have a draft for us. We'd like to thank Heavy T on Air for being there for us. And Rick, have a great rest of your week.
You too, LA.
I hope you win all of your props. We know that LeBron just got it done for you. Ricky's props seals it again. And for all of you in the chat, thank you so much for joining us. Follow all of the shows by following @Bettor Network on social media. Lisa Ann and Rick Kamla, we enjoyed the night with you tonight on Bettor Sports Live on the Bettor Sports Network.